This journey of me following the migrants went from sort of 10 in the morning, all around the clock, to late at night, to the point where, you know, on buses, on trains, through streets, at every key point, French military police and the French police, they were there. They were on the bus, taking down notes, taking pictures, but not doing anything to deter the migrants or stop them, just being there. I was sat in the tent and he was showing me through photos of his phone, scrolling through. This was barbaric, horrific stuff. Blokes going through walls in vehicles and then jumping out and shooting everyone. You know, his WhatsApp picture was him with a mask on, with a gun like that.
You're in a tent with this guy?
I'm in a tent with this guy, and actually he's just showing me this stuff. I'm just thinking, this is not the kind of bloke you want to be coming to the UK.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Ladies and gentlemen, what a glorious day it is as well. Easter Sunday. And did you know this Easter is extra special because very clever people who know a thing or two about knowing what dates happened when have calculated that actually in AD 33, when the Son of God gave up his life to save mankind, it actually was on the 3rd of April, and he was resurrected on the 5th of April, and this year Easter has fallen on that exact date. I think it's so special. I certainly this morning, lovely Nest downstairs was doing my makeup and I had my Jesus bangers playing out and I was welling up and she's like, Alex, you can't do that. You'll smudge your mascara. But I'm going to be going to church later with the lovely Samara Gill. I'm going to make her bop around with me. I go to one of those wonderfully modern churches with a rock group, and it is going to be absolutely wonderful because this, ladies and gentlemen, is the most important day of the Christian calendar, and it's an honour and a privilege to be sharing it with you. And I want today lots of Eastery goodness, so if you are a Christian and you want to share perhaps your favourite passage from the Bible, your favourite hymn, you just want to give people an Easter message, even if you're not a Christian, get stuck in, because whether you believe in God or not, without a doubt, the historical man, Jesus of Nazareth, really did change the world. 0344 499 1000 is the number if you want to have a chit-chat. Also, if you want to send me a WhatsApp message, you can also leave me a voice note on WhatsApp. That would be delightful. 87222 is the number if you'd rather send a text message. If you're going to do that, write the word talk before you text. OK, there you go. Jerusalem playing in the background. There's going to be a lot more of that to come. We got Ted Cup, we got Tommy Tiptoes, we got Davis Fang, we got Ratty Boy Chris, the full crew in the gallery, the best of the best of the best, and of course the wonderful Dean is lurking around somewhere ready to drag somebody to a pub for an Easter booze up, no doubt. But before we all do that, folks, we are going to have a packed show. Ben Habib joins us first of all to go through all the Sunday papers and the big stories. Leader, of course, of Advance UK, my old mucker in the European Parliament. How are you doing?
Very well indeed, thank you, Alex. Lovely to be here.
Happy Easter.
Happy Easter.
Right, OK, so there's a poll out today that makes me cock an eyebrow somewhat because it seems, well, it seems rather convenient that the poll seems to be showing that Kemi Badenoch and Nigel Farage are now neck and neck. I say quite convenient because this is a poll that's been commissioned by Lord Ashcroft, who is, of course,
a Tory.
A Conservative, yeah. What do you make of it? Do you think that that is likely to be the direction of travel polling-wise, or do you think that this is a little bit of...
I think all the polls at the moment are getting it fundamentally wrong, actually. There is a degree of weighting that pollsters give those they poll in order to determine whether the answers they get should be the resultant answer of the poll. And the reason I mention that is because if you were just to approach 2,000 respondents and ask them who you're going to vote for, you get a whole load of different answers: Reform, Tory, Greens, Labour, whatever. But what these polls typically are not adequately doing, if they're doing it at all, is to weight the results of those polls based on the propensity of the individual responding to vote. And the average Tory voter and the average Reform voter is probably a lot less likely to vote than the average Green voter.
Do you think so? I mean, I understand what you're saying in terms of there are all sorts of formulations that go into polling, and as you said, the get out the vote, the GOTV, as they say in the trade, adds a significant factor to, well, all these people say they're going to vote this way, but will they actually go to the ballot box? And normally the trend is that older people do, younger people don't.
But the
Greens seem to have a very young vote.
But they've got the Muslim vote.
Oh, well, they don't even have to go to the ballot box. They can just stuff their ballots into envelopes.
I don't think the pollsters have really picked up on this. You know, Gorton in Denton was meant to be a three-horse race, wasn't it? And they were 40% ahead of Reform. And that was not because of tactical voting. That was because the polls had misjudged the likelihood of the Muslim vote coming out very, very strongly in favour of the Greens.
Do you think they're going to stay with the Green Party? Because my understanding is there's already a few ructions after that sort of jamboree in Trafalgar Square where they had men in leather chaps gyrating in front of children. And a few people, you know, I've seen it online, on social media, the people who once, yes, you know, support the Greens in Gorton and Denton went, no, not that.
Well, I think that is what we must hope for, that the Muslim vote deserts the Green Party, because otherwise we're going to have a complete basket case of a next government.
Do you think as well that because the threat of the basket case of the next government, that will actually propel more right-wing voters to get to the ballot box? Because we saw in 2019, when you and I were both very against the Brexit Party stepping down candidates, we both thought that wasn't the right decision. Yeah. And looking back on what Boris Johnson did to the country, I'm kind of...
It was a tragedy, really. You know, if we'd got 5 or 10 MPs back in 2019, the country would be in a completely different place.
We were always going to have to go through this ugly left-wing period, weren't we? We'd have just done it probably a bit sooner. And it would have then coincided with COVID, and I don't think, actually, that a Corbyn government and a Johnson government would have done anything dramatically differently. But people sort of looked at the offer and suddenly went, gosh, Jeremy Corbyn as Prime Minister, I don't think so. And in the end, you know, people did go to vote against him. And similarly, I think the same thing happened last time round when people just didn't go out to vote for the Conservative Party. So when you are weighting these things, it's difficult, isn't it? Because the psyche of the general public, where we're going to be at when a general election is called, is it going to be the case that people look and go, wow, the coalition of the left wing is so frightening that I'm going to go and vote for, you know, tactical voting, essentially.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be quite difficult, isn't it? Because we have now... People keep saying the right-wing vote is split.
Right.
Of course, the right-wing vote wasn't split for 200 years when the Conservatives had a completely free run at it.
And as a result, the Conservative Party split.
And the Conservative Party became left-wing, effectively, on the back of having no pressure from the right-wing. And now we do have a genuinely resurgent right-wing in this country. A right-wing that, you know, and by right-wing, I mean a set of parties and people that are making the argument for sovereignty, for our laws being made for our betterment, our policies being made for our betterment, what it means to be British, etc., etc. And we're having these debates now at a time when the left wing are polling so well, and we need to get on and finish our debates, determine what it is we need to be doing to rescue our country in amongst ourselves, and then have an agenda that will absolutely put the United Kingdom
I mean, I get the impression, looking at this polling, and I'm sceptical. I'm sceptical because it is a rogue poll amongst other polls that seem to show different patterns, and that's been consistent across like 250 polls or something. It to me appears to be sort of, you know, once again pushing the case of there being a uniting of the right. And I think, you know, fundamentally, at the end of the day, we live still in a centre-right country. Yes, the left-wing are having a resurgence, but I wonder when push comes to shove how much that will translate. But the idea of a super coalition, they had that in the snap election in France, didn't they? Macron got into bed with all sorts of funny people.
Yeah, well, including his wife.
One of many. Yeah, I mean, and actually his government's sort of falling apart as a result because they can't get on with each other. There's too many radicals involved. Yeah,
I mean, it is... Funny enough, I think the British people are way ahead of where our political class is, including those of us who are on the right so-called right wing. The British people showed us what they wanted back in 2016. Right wing being, you know, just a sovereign United Kingdom making policies for this country, for its people, unashamedly, our culture, our language, all that kind of thing, which isn't really right wing. It's just a pro-British platform.
Common sense became so controversial.
Yeah.
It's just crazy.
And the British people are there. It's just a matter of tapping into it and making sure that, you know, 20 million people didn't vote in the last election. And I think it's because they've been repeatedly let down. They've had promises after promises made to them, mostly by the Conservatives, that they would do X, Y and Z for the betterment of this country, and then they haven't done it. And people have just gone, you know, in despair.
Do you think we need to have a look at the first past the post system? Because, you know, I'm constantly having debates with people who, largely there's, you know, people who keep saying that, oh, reform's not going far enough, fast enough, there's too many Tories in there. And I always say, but hold on, there's pragmatism, I'm sure, weighing on the mind of Nigel Farage right now, which is you've got to get over 33% if you're going to get a big majority. You have to. That's because of the first past the post system. And so if he went so far in one direction, he would start hemorrhaging support. He's got to actually cover that centre ground. He's got to attract the people who once upon a time would have voted the Remainer Tories. I mean, but potentially, you know, you've got to sort of appease certain people, and the Overton window's shifting. But political parties sort of, you know, weigh everything up and think, where do I need to be right now to get the most possible support? And equally in terms of, you know, some of these people who have come across from the Conservative Party, arguably, you could say, well, they've been ministers. They know how the system works, because in previous governments, you've had the opposition shadowing. And so even though those people might not have been ministers before, they would have spent a year, two, probably more, following around the actual minister, dealing with the department, seeing how it works, learning on the job, in case they do get into power. Do you not think it's sort of is that a sensible thing, do you think, that they're doing? Or do you take the position that some people are taking, which is, well, we didn't want the Conservative Party. Why are you letting these people in?
Yeah, I mean, I'm, as you know, Alex, of the latter view. You know, the Conservative Party had their time. They had 14 years. They screwed it up. And the ministers who do know the system actually allowed the system to abuse their good intention, if they had good intention. Suella Braverman speaks a great game. So does Robert Jenrick now. He didn't used to. He was a Remainer. But they were at the heart of government when things went wrong. And are they therefore the people who are capable enough to take us out of the problems the country faces? I mean, the position Advance is taking, if I can just talk about Advance for a second, is to not just come up with a set of policies well before the election. You know, so many parties hold their policies close to their chest.
Manifest is not worth the paper they're written on these days.
So we're going to reveal all our policies up front, and we're going to even have legislation drafted in order to give effect to those policies. And if we're not the government, at least we would have shown a way towards what I believe to be serious principle politics that will put this country first.
How much do you think the media also is to blame? Because I look back at the snap election and no one asked anything of Sir Keir Starmer. We didn't know his policies. He was given a total free pass. Ed Davey just existed on a bloody blibbing jet ski for most of it. And I kind of feel like, you know, we're really doing a disservice to politics in this country, because I kind of feel the Labour Party get a bigger free pass than the Conservatives ever got.
There are three things wrong, I think, Alex. One is the media, who present anything pro-British is wrong. You know, I've been watching Sky News and BBC over the last few days, and everything that comes out about the Iran war is anti-the West, anti-the West,
anti-America, anti-Trump.
The subtext of pro-Iran. You know, let's not forget. Crazy. You know, Iran is a mullah, dictatorial, theocratic nutcase bunch of loonies running that country
who want to blow up the entire world with a nuclear weapon.
Exactly.
I would kiss the ground that Donald Trump walks on. I mean, come on, the guy is reshaping the entire world for the better, and we're getting in his way.
Yeah, and so the media, I think, are at fault. There's voter apathy, you know, in the extreme. And then the last thing I think that people do, which is a shame, is they vote against what they don't want, rather than voting for what they do want. And we've got, and which is probably partly a fault of the political class too, we've got to make our arguments so that people understand who we are, what we represent, what we're genuinely going to do in government if we get into government, so that they can make a positive choice, rather than looking at the Tories, Sunak and all that lot and going, well, we hate them, we're going to vote Labour. Of course, Labour got fewer votes in 2024 than they did in 2019, but 20 million people didn't vote.
Let's talk now about some of the more controversial stories knocking about in the newspapers. Astonishing story here that doctors are being offered double the average pay to work with migrants who have come over on the small boats. Why is it, for crying out loud, that, you know, if I wanted an appointment with my GP, and quite frankly I do, and I kind of weigh up, oh, better get in there early, I might get one in about a month's time if I'm lucky. But if I broke into the country, there'll be a doctor just hanging out in my hotel there to, you know, provide for my every need. And not only that, it seems to me that, here's an advert for GPs in Manston and Dover, where the asylum seekers arrive and are processed. And they're being paid 640 quid a day, which works out as £166,400 a year, compared to the normal range for an NHS GP, which is 76 to 114,000.
It's extraordinary. I mean, it's bad enough that they get free medical care, full stop. That we, the taxpayer, paying for people who've entered this country illegally to have free healthcare and dental care, of course. But now we discover not only are they getting it free, they're getting it twice the cost that's normally paid for healthcare. And this is what I mean about the government standing against the British interests. It is almost gaslighting us. It's almost like they want us to recognise that they prefer illegal migrants over the electorate, that they couldn't care less about the British people. How is it that they can bring themselves to do these unjust things, paying for twice the rate to look after the medical interests of someone who is, by definition, a criminal, entered this country illegally?
For the life of me, to this day, I cannot fathom why no government has been able to pull the emergency lever and say, we don't know if these people are terrorists, even if they're not, they've broken in illegally, they've thrown away their documentation deliberately, and they've paid a lot of money either to criminal cartels and terrorist organisations, or they have not, which means they're going to work in criminality when they get here.
Absolutely.
You can just go, this is dangerous. This can't be allowed. The boats will be stopped. We're taking them back to France. Good luck with that, Macron. We don't care. You know, I just don't understand why no government has had a spine, why they all seem to bow down at the altar of treaties, which frankly should go in the dustbin of history.
Yeah, I mean, it all comes back, of course, as you and I both know, to the European Convention on Human Rights and its embodiment into British law and the Human Rights Act, which effectively puts a protective blanket round criminals. And we're seeing this with the legacy bill. I don't know if you've been following this. The government is putting a bill through Parliament called the Legacy Bill, which has done away with the Legacy Act that the Tories had, and is going to enable legal action to be brought against British soldiers who served in Northern Ireland.
It's disgusting.
It is disgusting.
It is a witch hunt against our troops. Blimmin' Starmer couldn't even defend Akrotiri. We knew there was going to be a war. All the American assets had been moved into the theatre. It was obvious what was going to happen. He's got in Trump's way. He won't let them use the... he has now, the US air bases. Yeah. I mean, I look at that man, and I look at people like Angela Merkel as well, and I have serious questions I want to ask about if they genuinely are in league with hostile states.
Yeah, well, it certainly appears that way. And I'm sure you remember the invitation that Starmer made to a number of members of the Muslim community to go to the Great Hall at Westminster to have their iftar. And he said to great applause to the gathering that he wasn't going to stand by the Americans in the war against Iran. So,
and we know now why he did it,
we know now why he did it.
How scary is it that a fifth column who frankly hate the West is the tail wagging the dog, especially when it comes to foreign policy? Terrifying.
It's terrifying.
Right, let's do a few messages and then we're going to take a short break. Happy Easter, he is risen. He is indeed. I'm off to church, says John in Wallington. Thank you for that, John. Do catch up later then on the app or on YouTube. Morning and happy Easter, Alex. When will the government realise leadership is an action, not a position to be exploited? We've been let down for far too long and need some common sense back. Obviously a brilliant message because Sean is from Gloucester. Happy Easter, Alex from sunny Wales. What is it, Pob? No. Would it have been Welsh? How's good your Welsh, Ben?
Awful.
Yeah.
Non-existent.
Probably Pob something. Pob pops up a lot when it's a happiness in Wales. I like the word
uni
Pob.
there, weren't you?
I did my journalism training there, yeah, Cardiff. Here we go. I am come a light into the world, that whosoever believeth in me should not abide in darkness. And if any man hear my words and believe not, I judge him not. For I came not to judge the world, but to save the world. Amen. Back after this.
brand new for 2026. It's going to be the only way to start your day. It's the home of common sense. It's where the nation can come to speak about the day's news. It's the Jeremy Kyle Breakfast Show. You know who you are. You get up, you graft, you work hard. I'm here for you. We want to hear your side. Promise you one thing. It is where the nation can and will come to talk. The Jeremy Kyle Breakfast Show, weekdays from 6 a.m.
10, 9, 8, 7, RS-25 engines lit. 4, 3, 2, 1, booster ignition, and liftoff. The crew of Artemis 2 now bound for the moon.
Houston now controlling the flight of integrity on the Artemis 2 mission around the moon.
Integrity, AMT high.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
What we got here? Amazing Grace done on the bagpipes. Well done, Tech Up. We're taking Easter all around the country today. They're high-fiving in the gallery. Have you ever heard Amazing Grace on the bagpipes?
I haven't.
It's quite nice. I like bagpipes.
Do you?
Everyone likes bagpipes, don't they?
I'm not sure. I'm not convinced.
I wouldn't want them standing on my garden lawn for, first thing every morning. Wasn't it? Is it a tradition in the royal family that a piper sort of wakes everybody up by standing outside and on a...
Well, we used to be woken up at school with the dustbin lid being smacked, 2 dustbin lids smacked next to our ears in the dormitory.
What, a rehearsal of Stomp or something? Was that actually a thing?
That was a thing, yeah. A guy called Fraser McLean, who was our sixth, he was the one who used to do it. Go around the various dormitories with 2 metal dustbin lids and smack them together to wake you up.
What else happened in these dormitories, Ben? Do you want to share with us?
No, I don't want to share it.
Okay. Right, talking about oversharing, this is weird. Apparently, Michael Gove, one of the most handsome men on earth, has admitted to having a crush on Shabana Mahmood, one of the most beautiful women on earth.
This has got to be one of the weirdest stories I've ever read. It's extraordinary.
I think she's gorgeous. I do worry, though, that if Shabana Mahmood had access to my browsing history, she would discover that quite a lot of my browsing is me typing in Shabana Mahmood images.
He has a lot to answer for, Michael Gove. He sold Brexit down the line. You know, I'm in politics partly because of Michael Gove. I went to a Tory party lunch at which I asked Michael Gove, this was before I left the Conservatives, and at which I asked Michael Gove whether there was a plan B if we didn't get a good deal during the Brexit negotiations. This was 2018, during the Brexit negotiations, and he said, oh, there's no need to worry about a plan B. We will get a good deal with the European Union. So this guy is a complete fraud, and I suspect his attraction to Shabana Mahmood is about as irrational as the view that we didn't need a plan B back in 2018.
The image of Michael Gove and Shabana Mahmood is almost as harrowing as the one of Jeremy Corbyn and Diane Abbott. It's not really, you're not really going to want to see that on Love Island, are you, anytime soon? It's a strange thing to do, though, isn't it? A very odd comment to make publicly.
Well, he's obviously wishing to test waters in a very public way.
Who's your political crush?
I haven't got a political crush. No, I wouldn't. And if I did, I wouldn't admit it on air.
You once told me, but I'm not going to share. I will keep that to myself. Let's talk about geopolitics, because we had a guy on yesterday, brilliant guy, former White House advisor to both Bush and Clinton, Steve Gill, and he was saying yesterday, no, the 2 pilots, they've been rescued, they're fine, they're safe, and all the reports on the screen were sort of everyone's looking for the airmen, and I was like, really? He said, yeah, and I'm like, wow. And then
they found the second one.
They've now found the second one, so I don't know the timings of all of this, and
so do you think it was all confected?
Whether Steve Gill was just, Mystic Meg?
Yeah, or it was contrived. They rescued both of them and then strung it out to make it look like it was a daring rescue attempt.
Or, well, no, actually, so this is the logic in this, because what they would have done... Let's talk about the things going on, because I was going to say obsessed with this war, but I am obsessed with following everything from a military strategy point of view. And I'm constantly going online, looking at OSINT. Oh, my goodness. I sit there on Flight Radar. When I woke up at 3:30 this morning... I went back on Flight Radar and I was watching a completely unmarked, unnamed aircraft just in the Persian Gulf. Two big refuelling planes circulating, coming out of Kuwait, and I was like, the bombers are being refueled.
You can see military planes on Flight Radar, can you?
Well, you can see pretty much all planes,
wow.
But some planes are unmarked. It comes up as not available.
Interesting.
And I don't know if you can see all military planes, but oh, it's fascinating. It's so good. And I think that the way this war has been prosecuted so far has been utterly genius. You know, everyone's going, what's the plan? What do you mean, what is the plan? Steve Gill, again, he said yesterday, this is so absurd that America could turn around and say, we just gave $60 billion to Ukraine. The Europeans are barely doing enough to drag this anything like out of a war of attrition. What's your blimmin' plan?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
I mean, it is extraordinary. I think if I were to give any credence to the concerns about this war, which I don't, by the way, but if I were to, I think they're born out of a fear that this could become another Afghanistan, another Iraq, another Arab Spring, all of which were complete disasters. But this war is very, very different to any of those.
It is.
First of all, very few of them, if any of them, were justified. The war in Iraq was illegal and wrong and served no purpose. Bombing Afghanistan and occupying it for 22 years served no purpose. The Arab Spring was a hugely destructive initiative put in train by Obama, a Democrat, and by David Cameron. But this war is against a 47-year-old theocracy, which holds the West in contempt, as we were saying earlier, is responsible for great unrest in the Middle East through financing Hamas, the Houthis in Yemen, and Hezbollah in Lebanon, and guilty of perpetrating terrorist acts in our country. And let's not forget, even during this conflict, they've sought to bomb our base in Cyprus. Yeah. They've launched inter-regional ballistic missiles against Diego Garcia, which is a British base. We have been attacked. And we are sitting on the sidelines watching dumbfounded as if like a rabbit caught in the headlights. Yeah. This is an evil, evil regime.
Why on earth would the world sit there and say, yeah, do you know what, let's just take the chance that the biggest terrorist death cult in the world might get intercontinental nuclear weapons?
Absolutely.
For crying out loud.
Yeah.
We had the guy who was the man who monitored uranium enrichment in Iran, expert on the Iran nuclear program, saying they were on the brink of creating nuclear weapons. This whole well, it's not justified. Well, why did we have the JCPOA in the first place? If we weren't worried that Iran wanted to make nuclear weapons, why did we have that blimmin' treaty? Why did we have those sanctions against them? They weren't sticking to it. We know that. Yeah. The West is,
and
Europe
Alex, you'll
especially,
remember.
they freak out about Putin. I personally, I don't like the man. I'm not condoning the invasion of Ukraine. I really am not. But I don't think he's going to come into Europe.
There are two different rules being applied.
Iran, however, if they had a nuclear weapon, they would use that to leverage awful things against the West.
Absolutely.
Because they're mad.
It's their policy to wipe Israel out. That's one of their policies. So, you know, we can't tolerate rogue nations like that in the world. And the argument that they're going to block the Strait of Hormuz, we didn't foresee their belligerent action, what they call asymmetric warfare. Asymmetric warfare is a word coined by mainstream media to sanitize a terroristic response against non-combatants by Iran. The UAE, Bahrain, Saudi, they hadn't launched any attacks against Iran. And they're being bombed.
Isn't it mad that the Muslim world in the Gulf is standing by America's side, defending what Israel is doing, and Europe is trying to stop that?
Yeah. Well, you'll remember, Alex, when we were in the European Parliament and Trump had imposed sanctions on Iran that first time round. Do you remember the EU was trying to find mechanisms to sidestep the sanctions? Do you remember that?
Yeah, I've got something to tell you about this. So when we had the uranium enrichment Iran nuclear expert on, he said, Because we were talking about, well, you know, which other countries are helping Iran? And do you know which country helped Iran more than any other in terms of the technology to enrich uranium? Germany.
Really, yeah.
Germany. Now, I went deep into the trade statistics back then when we were in the European Parliament, looking at European nations, and basically the EU, all they think about is the bottom line. All they think about.
The cost of
you
everything.
had France, you had Germany, you had the UK selling stuff to Iran. Do you know what we were mainly selling? Reagents and chemicals. Oh, well, that's a bit weird.
Yeah.
But also lenses, optical goods. And I'm like, do they really love optometry in Iran? Or were these lenses they were putting into drones? I don't know. Yeah. But it's very fishy indeed. And when I look at what's going on, so the latest OSINT, as I like to say, open source intelligence, so things you can just access online if you know where to look. There are lots of mutinies taking place right now in Iran. The armed forces haven't been paid. Everyone doesn't trust everyone else. There are sort of assassinations if someone thinks someone's a traitor.
And 30,000 people killed in those demonstrations in December and January.
At least.
You know, at least. I mean, it's absolutely horrific. And no, they're a regime that need absolutely to be wiped out. And the threat, just coming back to your point, which is absolutely so pertinent, the EU and the United Kingdom know the price of everything and the value of absolutely bloomin' nothing.
Yeah.
They know the price. They see economic benefit out of mass migration, so they do it, even though the real cost, is massive to this country, culturally as well as economically. They will pursue anything for a short-term quick buck and not realise that the value of taking the opposite position, such as, for example, with Iran, actually sees this country through safely into the long term.
Yes.
There is no thinking of that kind going on in this country and the EU.
stands for evil and useless as far as I'm concerned. But when you look at what Trump's now doing, where he kept giving these deadlines to Iran, saying, right, if you go past that, there's going to be hellfire. And then he gave them a bit more time. And he gave them a bit more time. People, tack out, he's weak because the blimmin' legacy media just see what they want to see. The man's been playing, right? They are now sending, again, me on Flight Tracker, 3:30 in the morning on my OSINT, watching loads of military transporter planes taking off. Loads. Lots and lots and lots from the east coast of America, flying all the way over to the Middle East. They are bringing... so I live near Fairford, right? And I went down to Fairford Village the other day, filled with servicemen. Great way to find out what's going on. This was on Wednesday. And I spoke to a young man called Brad, and he had just arrived that day. He is a vehicle mechanic, right? As in, like, cars mechanic. That... We're talking, I'm pretty sure we're going to see something akin to... There's grounds going in. You know, we've got Navy SEALs are already there, Marines are already there. The Special Services, well, we've seen this sort of, you know, daring rescue. But they are, as far as I can tell, they are shipping a world of kit. In fact, one person that I was following, he said he has never seen a mobilisation of this scale.
It is extraordinary.
Of this scale. Not in the Iraq War, not in the Afghan War. Everything America's got is on its way to the Middle East. So, you know, fasten your seatbelts.
Just one of those aircraft carriers carries, I think, 3,500 military personnel.
Wow.
And they're like, I think they've got 4 aircraft carriers out there. That's like a significant proportion of our entire armed forces.
They will squish the IRGC like a fly. Yeah. You're going to Fairford this year, the air show?
I'm certainly... Yeah, why not?
I'm there Sunday.
Yeah, we saw you there a couple of years ago.
Yeah, Ben and I sometimes link up at Fairford. Best day of the year. I'm sort of like keen for this war to get itself finished because I don't like missing the Royal International Air Tattoo. Right, let's do a couple of messages before we go to break, and keep your messages coming in. Let's stick up the details and numbers on the screen, please, Davis. Ding! Easter miracle. There you go. 03444991000 is the number if you'd like to call. You can register your interest with Tommy Tiptoes. He'll take down your details and we'll give you a call back when it is that segment of the programme. 87222 if you'd like to send a text message. If you're going to do that, write the word talk before you text. You can also send me a WhatsApp or leave a voice note on 03444991000. Messages now. God bless you, Alex, for giving us the true meaning of Easter. He is risen. Love and blessings and a happy Easter from David in Lancashire. Hi, Alex. Happy Easter to all. One of my all-time favourite hymns is Our God Reigns. I'm working today, so can't really celebrate the rising of our Lord. Put on your hymns. Get on Spotify or Apple Music, whatever it is you listen to, YouTube. You listen to your hymns today. It is your right as a Christian. Alex, happy Easter. The voting intention poll cannot be accurate. Labour on 70%. Absolutely no way are they that high, says Gary in Lower Chapel. And firstly, thank you for banging the Christian drum. It has to be Luke 24, doesn't it? Even though I love Psalm 23. Both let us know not to be afraid, have hope, and maybe stop trying to find salvation in dark corners or with those who prefer the dark side. Follow the light and seek happiness in positivity. Those who shine under pro-life. And if we all think this way, we'll never be alone. He is with us always. There is hope. Happy Easter, everybody, says Rachel in Wales. OK, we're taking a short break. Back in a moment.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Well, I suppose it's not quite a hymn, but I suppose it will pass. It's fun. Ben and I, we were just discussing then the things that I'm seeing flying over my house, because Ben likes a good jet aircraft as well, don't you? Here we go, on Flight Radar right now. Absolutely brilliant stuff. I like zooming in on Fairford and seeing what is going on. Anything in it? Nothing there at the moment. There's also, I'm kind of obsessed with this. There's usually a Globemaster or an A300M Airbus, which comes out of Byes Norton and does little loops around it like this, and I watch it fanatically. I'm like, oh good, finally they're protecting Byes Norton, are they? They're making sure Iranians aren't going to break in or just stop oil.
They're quite versatile, those A300s,
aren't they? Nimble.
Yeah. Incredible.
They look like a sort of bendy banana shape in the sky as well. Oh, hello. My mic's just fallen off. Here we go. Sorry, guys. Technicalities going on here. Why did that do that? Hello. Right, let me just keep on, Ben. You say something.
Well,
I'm going to...
they're amazing. I've seen an A300 go virtually vertical. You know, they go almost to a position where you think the plane would just simply fall back on itself, stall.
Actually, basically loop the loop.
Can they loop the loop?
I don't know.
Blimey.
Does anyone know this?
Be one hell of a big loop, wouldn't it?
No, but I've seen it sort of basically invert and almost vertically come. They are incredible. And I like the sort of little jazz hands propellers. They always look like they're sort of going, yeah. Sorry, guys. I like aeroplanes. What's your favourite?
My favourite plane?
Yeah.
Well, I was going to say the F-15 because of Top Gun. But, you know, the F-15 didn't have a good showing the other day, did it?
Well, no, but it is iconic.
Yeah, it is iconic.
With the double tail. I mean, I'm all about the SR-71, the Blackbird. You know, they say it's decommissioned. I don't reckon it is.
Think they're still
I
using
reckon it's
it,
up there. Because they still fly out the U-2, the Dragon Lady, out of Fairford. It's still operating now. That kit's from the 1950s, for crying out loud.
You never hear anything about the F-22 anymore. Do you remember when it was
Raptor?
launched? Yeah, the F-22 Raptor, perhaps the most advanced fighter jet in the world. You never hear about it. We talk about the F-35 a lot, but they must be using the F-22, mustn't they?
I don't know.
It used to come to Fairford, and they stopped bringing it to Fairford as well.
Oh.
Bizarre. Fairford's actually dumbed down some of the planes.
This year it's fighter jets is the
is it the theme?
Fighter jet is the big theme this year, which I'm extremely excited about. Right, there you go, Chris. Get back to the stories. Enough of our Jane's Defence Manual special programme. OK, let's talk about this. The shocking scale of anti-Semitism in Britain's schools. 2 6-year-old Jewish pupils were allegedly called baby killers for singing in Hebrew during a cultural day. The children were left in tears after being subjected to heckling and abuse at the Church of England State Primary School. And there's lots and lots of examples in this dossier which has been handed over to the Telegraph. I mean, how have we ended up back in Germany in the 1930s? How?
Well, we've been taken there by a government that has made the case for, effectively, for Hamas and for all forces anti-Israeli. You know, how is it that this government could bring itself to recognise the state of Palestine in September 2025? Vile. When it was doing so hot on the heels of that massacre of Israelis by Hamas operatives back in 2023. The result, the reason Israel went to war in Gaza was because of the atrocities committed against Israel. And yet that somehow resulted in our Prime Minister recognising rewarding Palestine for these actions. So if you send that kind of messaging out, including allowing thousands and thousands of anti-Israeli, pro-Palestinian marches down our streets across the country, repeatedly supporting those marches, ministers in your government being seen at those marches, backbench MPs being seen at those marches. If you're going to put that support and promotion behind an anti-Israeli movement, which then conflates anti-Semitism with its anti-Israeli message, you're going to give rise to anti-Semitism in this country.
But also, it's just I cannot fathom these politicians. Do they know nothing about history? Time and again, Israel have been offering two-state solutions to Gaza. Time and again, they have done this, and every single time it's not good enough because they don't want Israel to exist at all. In the entirety of the Middle East, you've got one teeny tiny little landmass, tiny, which is where the Jews can live. That's it, where they historically come from, where the first religion of the world was founded, their holy place. Time and again, all this that they've asked is, can we have that? No. And we're taking the side of the belligerents, the terrorists who hate the West, who want to kill the Jewish people. Israel has brought to the world so much. It's got an absurdly high number of Nobel Prizes.
Oh, the Jewish people are
medicines that it makes, the technologies.
Formidable people in every sense, intellectually, in every sense, they're formidable people. And we've only got 250,000 Jews in this country.
And I love them, and I want them to be here.
They don't proselytise. They don't enforce their culture on our culture. They keep within themselves.
They don't commit terror attacks. They're not bleeding the state dry.
No, and if you were to try to convert to Judaism, they would try and convince you not to do it. That's how separate and unthreatening, it's not the right word, but, they're not proselytising. They're not trying to
They're not trying to evangelise, convert. They're not trying to build an empire. This whole idea constantly that I keep hearing that Israel's trying to sort of, it now wants to take Syria or it wants to take Lebanon. No, it doesn't. Have you been to Israel?
I haven't been to Israel. No,
it's amazing. And again, something that people don't realise when you're in Israel, first of all, it's hugely multiracial, let's say.
Well, many Muslims work in Israel.
A quarter of Israel are Arabs. But then when you go to Jerusalem itself, Temple Mount, which historically, of course, is Zion, that is where the religion was founded. And over the course of history, the Jews have been attacked, thrown off, and all the rest of it. And then come the Muslims and they go, buff, that's now the Al-Aqsa Mosque. It's not even considered in their sort of top 5 holiest sites. and, you know, they sort of erased everything that was Jewish. All the Jews now have is the Wailing Wall, the little bit of the outer wall of the old temple. That's all they've got, where their religion was founded. And everything else is now the mosque. And there are 10 gates, 10 access points to go up to Temple Mount, which is, of course, an incredibly holy site for Christians as well, from the Sermon on the Mount, etc., because of the Old Testament. The 10 entrances, 9 are for Muslims only. 9. The 10th, you can only go through that as a non-Muslim if you are not visibly a Christian. You're not allowed to pray. You're not allowed to wear a crucifix like I've got on today. You're not allowed to sing hymns. And it's completely controlled and regulated by the Muslims. When you go into Jerusalem, you can walk through the Christian Old Town. You can walk through the Jewish Old Town. Mm-hmm. The one that you can't really go through is the Muslim section. And yet we're being told, aren't we, that there's some sort of apartheid state being imposed upon Muslims by the Jews. It is the complete opposite as far as I can see.
Yeah. And, you know, it's almost academic now what the foundations of the Jewish state are. It exists. Get over it. People have to look forward. Israel, whether or not you agree with the Balfour Declaration of 1917 or the way that Israel was settled in 1948 or any of the conflicts that emerged after that, that is all ancient history. There are millions of people living in a which would seek to be a peaceful, democratic country, and it needs to be accepted. One of the reasons, of course, Hamas attacked Israel back in 2023, 7th of October 2023, was because I think the principal reason was Saudi was about to recognise Israel. Saudi was about to...
Well, the Abraham Accords.
It was about to join effectively the Abraham Accords, and Iran was not going to have any of that. And it wanted to destabilise the whole situation.
Trump is genuinely, this is what the blimmin' legacy media don't understand, Trump is genuinely trying to reshape the entire world order and bring peace to the Middle East, and it will change everything if he manages it.
I mean, if Iran can be neutered, if Iran can, if the regime, let me be clear, in Iran can be neutered, the entire world will be a more peaceful place, particularly the Middle East.
It's been incredible. I mean, I fully support everything he's doing. I think that man, if he succeeds, should go down as the greatest president in history. Ben, 6 F-22s flew to Israel from Lakenheath the week before the attacks on Iran started, says John in Guildford. There we go.
Good to hear.
Someone else is on the old flight radar. Hello from Israel, says unnamed. We love your channel and get information on what is going on in Europe from you. Happy Passover and happy Easter. Stay safe. We love you, Israel. Woke up this morning with the news of the rescue of the Wizzo. 2 miracles in one day. One courtesy of our Lord, the other courtesy of the United States Air Force and US Navy. Hoorah, says David in the Cotswolds. Right. Although Jewish, I love listening to your Christian Easter message. I was raised in this Christian country and it's part of my culture, living through its holidays. Thank you, Alex, for not being woke and afraid. Happy Passover, hun, says Stephen in Belfast. And props to Mary Magdalene, the first person to have seen the risen Jesus, says Ian. We're going to take a short break. Back after this.
across the UK. On DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Yeah. Oh, it's my favourite. Shine, Jesus, shine. That's a sort of a very ceremonial version of it.
Pomp and circumstance.
Yeah. I like it though. I was playing it in the makeup room earlier, like, way. Brilliant hymn, Shine, Jesus, Shine. Right, look at this, Alex. It's an A400M, and the Top Gun planes were 414 Tomcats. Also get yourself on ADSB. You can watch military planes that don't show up on flight radar. Says Sasha in Cheshire.
Top Gun 2 was F-15. Come on, that F-14s were the first Top Gun, weren't they?
F-14 were the first ones, yeah. Yeah, Top Gun 2 was...
Yeah, I think I know my Top Gun.
Yeah, you know your Top Gun. You also know your Brexit. And that is something that they are looking, the Labour Party, to essentially hugely reverse.
Well,
Tell me about this, because they're now... And it's like rubbing our noses in it, isn't it? Because they want to do all this stuff on the 23rd of June, basically. The 10-year anniversary of that historic vote. It is just... They're vile.
It's disgusting. Of course, we never got Brexit, as you and I both know. We left Northern Ireland behind. We've got lots of laws that still infect the United Kingdom. We're still following their civil code as opposed to our common law system. A lot of their civil code as opposed to our common law system. Aligned with them on state aid, environmental law, net zero,
dynamic alignment on ridiculous net zero
things.
targets.
I mean, it's unbelievable. But what Starmer is doing is even worse than what Boris Johnson did.
Shocking. Let's break it down to the simples, because the things that concern me the most, there's a whole load of things they want to do, more alignment with single market rules and probably paying to do so as well. The two things that really disturb me, one is the youth mobility scheme. Oh, it sounds nice, doesn't it? Kumbaya, let's all go do gap years. It isn't.
Gap years.
It is not that. If they're saying people under the age of 30 can freely travel to the UK, and the EU is saying we will not allow you to have a cap on this, you know who that is? That's the 500,000 now given the right to remain in Spain who broke into the continent. That's who's going to be coming. This is Europe's way of shoveling all those people who they've allowed to break into the continent over to the United Kingdom.
Absolutely.
Do we honestly think we're going to get Dieter coming over to pull pints in all bar one?
Yeah. No. And in any event, why is it legitimate that we shouldn't have borders for young people when we have borders for older people?
I would sooner have older people, if they want to come and retire in Britain and buy a, country manse or something, fine, a bit like we do over there in France, Spain. The people we don't want, quite frankly, are the younger people who compress wages, who take jobs away, and we've already got high levels of unemployment, but also the people who will be taking advantage of this. It ain't going to be the Brits going over to work in Malaga.
No,
they can't speak Spanish.
Here. Absolutely.
It's them coming here.
Absolutely.
And who will be the them?
Freedom of movement only ever really worked that way. People coming to the United Kingdom.
Yes.
And they have, as you say, much greater youth unemployment in Europe than we do in this country. And youth unemployment is a root of civil instability. We do not need more unemployed youths in the United Kingdom. But it's much worse with Starmer, of course. He's going to hurt our farmers terribly with this sanitary and phytosanitary alignment with the EU as well. Effectively, do you remember when we were, again, in the European Parliament, the EU was forever making regulations that were damaging to farmers, not allowing them to use pesticides that were needed to be used in order to kill pests. The same's going to affect our farmers over here when we go into dynamic alignment over...
Well, very quickly, because we've only got about 2 minutes
and then,
left.
of course, the worst is the military.
The military.
The worst is the military.
Quickly, tell us why it is so dangerous.
So the way that the EU portrays its military cooperation is again, as it does with all its other things, some kind of kumbaya cooperation between EU member states. But it's not like that. It's not like NATO, where you get lots of sovereign states coming together deciding to cooperate. What the the European Defence Union is the amalgamation of European forces under the direction of Brussels, using interoperable military systems so that they have total control over our military.
And they want us to be sort of joint weapons procurement, and if we wanted to join that, we've got to pay them, and we've got great weapons. BAE Systems, et al., amazing weapons. We
don't want to be part of their systems.
And then what it would involve, if we would have to start using EU-only parts to make those weapons, we will end up completely unable to defend ourselves and at the mercy of whack jobs like von der Leyen,
Yeah.
who seem to think Iran's their friend.
I know. It is very, very frightening what Starmer is doing. And a lot of it's going under the radar because people are sick of the whole EU debate. The EU debate is still fundamentally at the heart of the problems of this country.
Yes.
If we had really left the European Union, we would have ditched net zero by now. We'd be buying British, which we can't. We wouldn't have the massive immigration that we've got because we would have also got rid of the ECHR.
Yeah.
I know that's separate. It's not the EU, but we would have got rid of it. We'd have Northern Ireland with us. And guess what? The Republic of Ireland would be looking at the United Kingdom, looking north of the border and going, my goodness, they haven't got the problems we have. Isn't that better?
Isn't that better? Well, there you go. That is why you were called Brexit Ben, the wonderful Ben Habib. Thank you so much for joining me today. Wasn't he fabulous, ladies and gentlemen? We're going to twist his arm to do this on a regular basis. Right, I've got to take a break now. Ben's going to zip off, but don't you go anywhere. I'll see you just after this.
This journey of me following the migrants went from sort of 10 in the morning, all around the clock, to late at night, to the point where, on buses, on trains, through streets, at every key point, French military police and the French police, they were there. They were on the bus, taking down notes, taking pictures, but not doing anything to deter the migrants or stop them, just being there. I was sat in the tent and he was showing me through photos of his phone, scrolling through. This was barbaric, horrific stuff. Blokes going through walls in vehicles and then jumping out and shooting everyone. His WhatsApp picture was him with a mask on, with a gun like that.
You're in a tent with this guy.
I'm in a tent with this guy, and actually he's just showing me this stuff. I'm just thinking, this is not the kind of bloke you want to be coming to the UK.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
There. Oh, I love this hymn. Oh, it's so beautiful. It's one of the most beautiful, restful, gentle, reassuring hymns, I think. Listening to this before going to bed is like having a big cuddle from God. Oh, thank you, Tech Up. I do love that. I've also pinged Tech Up a load of the sort of hymns that I listen to in my church, which are all the modern ones. Oh, yeah, let's see if we can get some of those on air as well. There's always a split, isn't there, when it comes to how church should be done, and some people think, well, you know, we need the traditional liturgy and all those beautiful Victorian hymns. But I know that the church that I go to, it is bursting It's you even on a normal Sunday, not even at Easter, you have to arrive about an hour before the service if you're going to get a seat. And they use every single annex room, the cellar, the cafe, other outbuildings where they put screens. It is like trying to get into Fabric nightclub in the 90s. It's absolutely astonishing, and it's super modern, and it's just filled with loads of young people in London. Well, people of all ages. People of all ethnicities as well. And it is one of the most astonishing things. It is a real phenomenon to behold, and that's where I'm going to be heading to for the evening service at 5 o'clock, because my normal service starts in 25 minutes. But alas, I wasn't able to change my shift. But that's okay. I'm going to try and do God's work here in the studios of Talk Towers instead. Happy Easter, Alex, says Lisa from Bolton. What can be done about the corrupt voting by Islamists to stop Farage? This really worries me. But you just have to ban the postal vote, basically. We've got to get real about this. We've got to get real that there is electoral fraud in the United Kingdom. And it's not something that happens in other countries where we send election observers. It happens here. And it has been happening for a very long time. And it's been happening particularly within the Muslim community. That is a fact. That is not Islamophobia. That can be borne out with evidence. And so we've got to get real. We shouldn't be giving the postal vote to anyone. If you're able-bodied, turn up at a polling station, show your face, show your ID, go and vote properly. Don't you drag your wife, your cousin, your daughter, your grandfather, your cat sitter, push them into a booth and look over their shoulders to make sure they're voting the right way. But this has been going on for a very long time. And the reason it's not being tackled is because both of the legacy parties have been profiting from it. By and large, it's happened in Labour areas, and they know if they caught the Muslim vote, if they go to the community leaders, the local imams, yes, we'll tell everybody to vote for you. Well, why would they not want to mess with that system? Because it gets them over the line. But mark my words, I was speaking to someone the other day in my own county of Gloucestershire, and he said, his suspicion is that the Conservative Party have also been benefiting from the same in various towns and cities. Right, OK, let us get on with chit-chatting about today's news, because we're joined by another Ben. This time it's back with Benedict Spence. Good morning. Happy Easter, Benedict.
Good morning. How are you doing?
I'm very well, thank you. Coughing and hacking, and I've got my orange juice here, but, you know, I'm good, I'm alive, I'm celebrating because he is risen. Let us talk about this. Well, I think it's a suspect poll. I don't want to sort of libel Lord Ashcroft. But it does seem to stand alone when it comes to other polls recently, which is basically putting the Conservative Party and the Reform Party neck and neck at the top at 21% each. And the Greens at 21% for the very first time. Do you think that is what's going on out there in the country?
I don't think it's exactly what's going on. I wouldn't be surprised if it's sort of more representative of the leadership figures, certainly when it comes to Kemi Badenoch and Nigel Farage. But I don't think it's the actual reality on the ground. And also, I think we need to remember that that's the polling now in the middle of nowhere time, so to speak. You know, and this has been a weird couple of weeks where, you know, the war in Iran has slightly overtaken lots of other things. It's been rather difficult for anybody to break through on policy. I can't really remember the last thing that Reform did or said as a party, or Farage did or said as an individual, that sort of struck a particularly strong chord with anybody. But, you know, he can't be doing that every week. You know, there are going to be fallow periods. So, you know, I have Reform drop down a little bit in the polls? Maybe. Is that, you know, going to be a permanent thing? Maybe, maybe not. Kemi Badenoch, I think, has done a pretty good job over the last couple of months of managing to rescue her image, having started off pretty poorly, if we're being honest, as Tory leader. But the issue that she has is she can only keep on being very good. Otherwise, people will start to factor in that, oh, yes, we remember now, the Conservatives are rubbish and they haven't got anything to offer things. So I think the irony is, of course, for a very long time, the criticism of Reform was it's a one-man band, it's Farage or bust. Now, I don't think you could say that about Reform, but you certainly could say it about the Conservatives. As for the Greens, Oh man, I don't know what's going on with the Greens right now. I am at a complete loss as to how it is that they are so successful. The only thing that I can assume is because it is this weird coalition of people who are quite extreme on the one hand, but also just a sort of a morass of middle class people who just think, oh, environmentalism, that's nice, isn't it? And haven't actually read what the leaflets say.
Well, I know it's vibes, isn't it, basically? But interestingly, those vibes, I think, are going to start clashing with one another. There's certainly been, I've seen various Muslim commentators online looking at the performance that Zach Polanski and the child entertainer, whatever her name is, were doing in Trafalgar Square when they had sort of all sorts of men gyrating in clothing that is probably better kept in Heaven nightclub after hours. And a lot of people going, no, this doesn't represent our family values. So it'd be interesting to see how that pans out. But of course, a lot of this stuff, I think, is coming up through young people. It's being pushed at universities. It's being pushed at school. I just hope that those people don't necessarily turn out to vote. I suppose as well, the last couple of weeks, Reform have been on tour. They're doing all sorts of, gigs up and down the country ahead of the local elections. So perhaps that's why Badenoch has been managing to win the air war a little bit more, where Farage is doing more of a ground campaign. But one assumes that those local election results are going to tell quite an extraordinary story.
Well, we can't get away from the fact that Badenoch actually has a built-in platform that Farage doesn't have. She, as leader of the opposition, gets access to media coverage that Farage doesn't. She also gets the opportunity to punch Keir Starmer verbally in the mouth once a week, which Farage doesn't. And that's televised as well. Now, I understand not everybody watches PMQs. In fact, probably not many people watch PMQs. But I think after a while, that sort of thing does get through. Listen, she has, I think, managed to demonstrate to a lot of people that she's a lot more competent than many feared that she was, but I don't think that means that there's anything much behind her in terms of the rest of the party. I think also Reform has lost a little bit of ground. I know that this is a bit controversial, and I also don't know if this is going to be a permanent thing or not, but Rupert Lowe's sort of start-up little thing, I don't even know if it is an official political party standing in places yet, but I think
it has been registered with Elcom, and I think they are going to be standing council candidates, but only in Great Yarmouth, which of course is his constituency.
So it is starting to become a party, if you like. Restore is never, I don't think, or certainly not in the short to medium term, is not going to be a party that is going to be able to win any seats beyond perhaps Great Yarmouth at a national level.
Even there, the polling doesn't look particularly good for Restore.
But what I would say is, I don't think that it's going to be a sort of a wildly successful party. What I do think it could do is siphon away 5% of the vote from Reform, say, in some places, maybe 4, maybe 3, maybe 6 in others. Not a huge amount on the surface, but enough, I think, to pull down Reform's polling in some places that might give them pause for thought and think, ooh, maybe in certain areas we need to slightly change our strategy. I think it's a little bit of a shot across the bows for Reform. I think it's a reminder that, look, not everything goes your own way. And it's a reminder, actually, in Italian politics, for instance, is that everybody remembers Matteo Salvini when he was the right-wing person and he was going to be the prime minister and he was going to sort everything out, and he didn't. And a party came from the right, which nobody thought was going to happen. The Lega Nord were outrightified by Fratelli d'Italia. And now what you have is an even more, ostensibly right-wing party that ended up taking power. I think it's just a little reminder.
It's interesting because looking at, and you can actually chuck this sort of stuff into, Grok or AI and say compare and contrast. When you look at the policy offer for both, I'd say Reform actually are the more right-wing. But there's a lot that happens on social media, and looking at an example, someone said Ceausescu then, Georgescu, crying out loud, completely different people. In Romania, he was an absolute phenomenon on social media. Story behind that's quite interesting though, because indeed he was a phenomenon on social media. The EU then cancelled the election saying, well, it was all a load of bots. Indeed it was. But the bots were not foreign bots. The bots were European bots. And I think that something very fishy went on there indeed. And there's a big question to ask about something that's suddenly risen to such prominence online. And I don't just particularly mean that party. I also mean the Green Party. When you have extremes of politics suddenly out of nowhere, flourishing and becoming huge, you have to ask yourself, how has this happened? Because it doesn't whiff of something that's happening organically. That's not to say people supporting it aren't genuine or don't want to support the Greens or Restore, whatever it may be. But when you look at that sort of the volume and the speed and the pace, you know, someone who's been around in this game for a very long time, I can see something that's being choreographed and curated from a mile off.
I think that there is truth in that's often where these things start. But I think people would also be surprised nowadays by how fast people online move along with that direction of flow. And because the bots exist for a reason, which is ultimately sort of G up that kind of support. So whereas once upon a time, I think you could have looked at something like the Greens or Restore and gone, oh, well, that's entirely artificial, or the odds are that it's entirely artificial. I think this far out from local elections, and certainly this far out from national elections, we should be cautious that could in fact transform itself.
Absolutely. No, I fully agree. And I'm rather alarmed because both to me represent politics that cannot translate into the real world without some pretty significant and pretty frightening propositions. Let us talk about this ridiculous story. Actually, I spotted a message in my little catalogue here, see if I can dig it out. But we're talking about, here we go, Joanna Salisbury. We're talking about the fact that doctors are being offered double the average GP pay to work with migrants arriving on small boats. This is down in Dover. That, you know, what they're getting to check these people as they come into the country illegally is more than they'd get for seeing the likes of you and I in the GP surgery. Joanna says that GPs are getting double pay to look after migrants. It's danger money, she says. Migrants are coming in with huge numbers of diseases, from scabies, monkeypox, HIV, AIDS, TB, etc. Now, someone might read that, you know, if they were sort of from the left and go, that's racist. But fundamentally, it's quite true. And we are seeing all sorts of upticks in diseases that for a long time had not been in this country. When you see how these people are living, you know, in ad hoc accommodation in Calais, in bivouacs in the middle of forests, you know, doing the proverbial in the woods, it's understandable. They're going to potentially come with infectious conditions. It's also, I suppose, behaviour as well, which is where the danger aspect, I think, is more likely to come into it, which is if it's a small boat migrant, genuinely you don't know what kind of a person it might be, what their motivations are. And I think that the uptick in violent crime, or at least high-profile violent crime that is at least attributed to boat migrants in cases and actively charged against them in others, I think is a sign that the average member of the public, certainly I don't think, wants to interact with these people. And I think it's understandable in some ways, therefore, why doctors would be offered more money. And this is the thing, actually. It's quite right that public servants like this should be offered more money to have to deal with dangerous individuals like this. The fault does not lie with the doctors. It lies with the authorities. It lies with the government for not having a system in place for getting rid of these people faster. That's the absurdness of the situation. And on top of that, of course, the fact that we have to bring in so many of our medics from abroad in order to do it. Yeah, Mary in Kate says, I live near Manston. It's a joke what goes on there. It's been like it for years. Paramedics offered £400 to sit there and give them a quick check before they got the doctors. And sometimes what we've heard is the doctors are getting over £1,000 to come out at night. But again, like you say, you know, when things take place, without a doubt, the conditions these people have lived in, the countries they're coming from, where they have tropical diseases that are not native to this country, it's not the normal scope of work, is it? And I fully agree with you. You cannot blame the doctors. It is fundamentally a failure in government policy. And what about this one, Ben? Apparently chocolate is being stolen to order by criminal gangs as the soaring price of cocoa fuels a booming black market trade. In the run-up to Easter, a woman, Leah Harding, was jailed after stealing 320 Cadbury's cream eggs in Peterborough. And then, of course, there was the infamous Kit Kat bar heist from a truck in Europe. And the industry estimates that £16 million of chocolate has been looted from UK shelves and continually. But it's not just chocolate, it's everything, isn't it? It's booze, it's meat, it's basically everything but the vegetables that people are going to steal now on an industrial scale.
Yeah, it's a combination of factors. We'll start with what the left-wing people would say it was, and that's what they'll say it's economic factors, and that's because families, individuals, they are all in increasing poverty and they can't afford basic goods and the occasional treat every now and then. There's a lot of truth in that, actually. Wages simply have not kept pace with inflation. British workers are getting a raw deal, and immigration on top of that adds to the inflation while suppressing the wages. So inadvertently, a lot of left-wing people are actually quite right. They just don't really want to get to grips with the reasons as to why that is. But there is, of course, the other aspect to that, and that is the fact that crime has effectively been legalized in many parts of this country. Certain types of crime simply are not investigated, and criminals are feeling emboldened to do this sort of thing because they know full well nothing is likely to happen to them. And when it does eventually happen to them, the sentences that they will receive are absolutely negligible. We have a very left-wing government in at the moment that says that we put too many people in our prisons, is interested in releasing them early, is not interested in building more prison spaces, and has a frankly farcical situation where a lot of the prison guards who work in our system are not fit for purpose. They're not up to scratch. They are either releasing people early by accident or having affairs with them or slipping drugs for them. The entire thing is a disaster, but we cannot simply attribute it. I will always say this when it comes to law and order. We cannot simply attribute it to a useless Labour government. This goes all the way back to George Osborne. This is the reason why we have a justice system that doesn't work.
I'm not saying that crime is perpetrated exclusively by foreigners. Of course it is not. Without doubt, the majority of crime is still going to be perpetrated by the native-born population. But I feel like we have imported criminality from other countries who run gangs to do exactly this sort of stuff. And the state of play now is that Lord Walker of Broxton, who is the exec chairman of Iceland, the supermarket, has called for the security guards to carry truncheons. Other bosses of retail chains have said our staff have to wear body cams. There are some suggesting they might need to use pepper spray. We're seeing the looting of everything from Greggs to Pret. The audacity that all those kids getting together for that link up in Clapham to nick stuff from M&S. We've seen this happen en masse in places like Primark as well. Something is fundamentally broken in society. When you roll back the clock 200 years and see that we founded Australia on the back of, people who'd nicked a loaf of bread, and they got essentially excommunicated to go and build the new world on the other side of the planet. Today, it's almost a given that people I've seen it with my own eyes in London. People just walk in brazenly, bold as day, rucksack, just like that, taking things off shelves, swing the rucksack on their back, barge on out, cock of the walk. And you just think, how have we got to this point? How?
Yeah, how we've got to this point is because it's simply not prosecuted. Security guards often at many of these places are not allowed to intervene because they run the risk of being prosecuted. I have actually seen many cases of security guards trying to get involved and being told not to in supermarkets across London. There's only one shop that I won't mention where I actually saw the security guards apprehending people. And this sort of actually goes back to something that you were talking about, which is nationality. Now, listen, a lot of the people, if not probably just about the majority of thieves in this country, are British, but there are active, organised gangs in this country that never used to be here. They are not British. They are all from a small pocket of Eastern Europe, and they operate with impunity. And when it starts on a small level, it expands to a massive level. Now, when it comes to, I don't know, Romanies or Bulgarians or something, pickpocketing in London, which never used to be a thing, but is now a thing, it then expands to things like you see them all over the provincial market towns of England selling the big issue. That's not all that they're doing, of course. That's just a front. But then it expands to things like mass fly tipping on the banks of the Thames or in Oxfordshire, or the mass theft of farm equipment all across Norfolk and places like that. They're the same people. They're the same gangs. They're here for that reason alone.
Exactly.
And I'm sorry, this is something that we were warned about by a certain political leader, leader of a high-flying political party at the moment. He warned about this exact few things a couple of years ago. Here we are.
I remember Nigel Farage saying this in 2013, pointing out that the majority of ATM fraud was being done by Bulgarians, and he got shouted down as racist. We need to look at patterns with criminality and we need to build policy based upon empirical data. Benjamin, Benjamin Benedict. So I just had old Benjamin Habib there, Benjamin Habib. All the Bens today. I've been bend out. Thank you ever so much, my darling, and we'll probably see you in the studio sitting opposite me next week. Thank you. Have a wonderful Easter Sunday. I've got some beautiful messages here. Let's get some of these read out. This one, it's put a smile on my face. Hi, Alex. Happy Easter to you and to you. Ian from Stone in Staffordshire. I'm a retired church organist, and my church Easter service used to conclude with the hymn, Thine be the glory, seamlessly going into the worship song, He has risen, both in the key of E major, when I'd leap off the organ bench, strap on my bass guitar to join the 5-strong music group. Congregation enthusiastically loved it. Happy days. Best wishes. You know, the Easter service, if you're listening to me live and you're not normally a church goer, have a look if there's a church near you doing a late service for Easter. There will be. And my suggestion is, you know, maybe you've not done it before, but maybe try one of the modern ones. You might be surprised at how happy, how joyful a day Easter Sunday is. Because, you know, when you're sort of detached from Christianity, it's a rather macabre story. But the gravity of what happened, and like I said, it is historical fact that there was a man called Jesus from Nazareth who was a great leader of people, who was called Rabbi. He was a Jew, considered a teacher, considered a prophet, and that he was so popular and so influential that the political establishment sought to have him executed in the most disgusting, demeaning, awful, devilish of ways. When you read the facts about the crucifixion, you can look archaeologically at the nails that they used to cause maximum pain, where they drove the nails through bone, how they used to break the legs to make people asphyxiate and die. I mean, just awful. The fact that when you look at the way that he was crucified, Jesus of Nazareth was so broken and beaten from flagellation before, and then carrying the cross, he couldn't even bear its weight, and he went there willingly to his death, and that moment historically changed the world. And that is the story of history. But for a Christian, of course, today is the day that he comes back, and we can see that he was the Son of God, and he did that to save all of us, and that has paid for all of our sin. It's borne our shame, that we ourselves may come close to God and join him in heaven. And that is the Christian part of this, which is why Christians celebrate today like nothing else. So if you are Christian curious, or perhaps you haven't been to church for a while, maybe make today the day that you go back. Right, we're going to be taking a short break. If you want to get in touch, 03444 99 1000 is the number to call. You can also use that number to send me a WhatsApp message or leave me a voice note on WhatsApp. I'd love to have some cheerful Eastery voice notes. 87222 is the number to send a text message. Right to a talk before you text. Going to be speaking to some of you and reading more messages just after this.
Welcome to Down the Local, the show that goes from pub to pub across the country, speaking to the punters about the subjects driving us all nuts at the moment.
That's Rachel Reeves, Rachel Thieves, Rachel McCounts.
I don't really know Meghan Markle. I know Meghan Markle's from Sinks, that's about it.
I don't know about anyone else, and I don't know where this is going. I have 0% beard, and I feel
raising the flag, I think, is symptomatic of its desperation.
Is public transport good value for money?
No, it isn't.
You really don't like speaking to people.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Oh, lovely. You're very traditional, aren't you, Tech Up? I pinned Young Ratty Boy there, all my modern hymns. He sent them to you. That doesn't matter. They're really good. Just get some of those on. I think people will know them just because you're a heathen who doesn't go to church. Go on, let's spice it up for the last hour. Let's get some of the jazzy ones on, ready for Weird Hour when we've got Paul Cox. It's a day of celebration. I love the sombre hymns. I love the sort of beautiful, earnest hymns. But I also want the, the happy clappers, as people would call them. Right, let's do some messages. Happy Easter, Alex. You'll probably like my youngest daughter's job. She's an administrator at RAF Lakenheath Health Centre and sees all manner of aircraft. She tends not to tell anyone, though. Not even an ickle old dad. The nearest I get is a public viewing area at the far side of the field. Oh, I do envy her. I love being around aeroplanes. Morning, Alex. You're making Easter great if you believe that all the people coming over on boats are doctors, lawyers and tradespeople. Why do they need doctors? Just saying. Keith in Nottingham. Ah, yes, the usual one. Doctors, scientists, lawyers, that's them all. Coming to enrich our culture. Hi, Alex. Couldn't face Easter hymns at church this year as my mum died recently and she loved them. Your programme has been a real blessing and I wish you all your listeners a very happy Easter. He is risen indeed, says Leslie in Hartley. Prayers and thoughts to you, Leslie, a difficult time for you. But today, we remember, as a Christian, it sounds to me as if your mum was a Christian. She's gone to a much better place than this old planet Earth. Hey, Alex, I'm a retired Catholic. Recently, I had a little voice over my right shoulder calling me to church. I'm not sure where it's coming from, but it's growing louder, says Tanya in London. Then listen to it. OK, let's do a call now. Let's speak to Miranda, who's in Cumbria. Hello there, Miranda. Happy Easter.
Hello. Sorry?
Happy Easter, my darling.
Oh, happy Easter. What I was telling about was that I've been watching the mainstream media regarding the pilot of the navigator that they'd lost in Iran, but they didn't seem particularly bothered, or they didn't appear to want to discuss what the Iranians might do to him. It was more basically, it's a bargaining chip now for Donald Trump, and they don't seem to want to discuss what in actual fact might have happened to that man if the Iranians had caught him first. And I find it's terrible because they just don't want to. They don't want to criticise the Iranian regime at all, and that's really what I wanted to say.
It's funny, isn't it? I mean, look, the Iranians were desperate to try and find him as some sort of bounty, as leverage, so they could parade him as a prisoner of war, try and get Americans turned against what Trump is doing, use him as a bargaining chip. But fantastically, they weren't able to do so. And I do wonder where we live in an information era, where all these sorts of things put in the public domain are used to sort of change the narrative. We've seen this throughout this war. Whether or not that there was also a bit of jiggery-pokery being done by the Americans to draw a lot of Iranian energy into the exercise of trying to find the pilot. Who knows? But what I would say is thank goodness he is safe and well. A very brave man indeed.
Absolutely. Thank God. Just incredible. Anyway, that was all I wanted to say.
Well, thank you for calling, Miranda. What have you got lined up for Easter Sunday, my darling?
I'm going to go down to the beach at high tide and watch the big waves because it's very windy and there'll be a great high tide today.
Oh, wow. That sounds amazing. It sounds... I'd love to join you. Up in Cumbria as well. Hope you got good weather up there. Thank you so much for calling. Now, if you want to be like Miranda and if you want to have a chat with me a bit later on, then please record this number, 03444991000. Tommy's waiting to take your call. 8722 is the number if you want to send a text message. Write the word talk before you text. If you want to send a WhatsApp, loads are coming in. It is also 03444991000. Happy Easter, Alex. The Old Rugged Cross is also a beautiful hymn that I love to sing, says Mike in Durham. I was in the RAF for 26 years and worked in air traffic control. Ooh, I saw loads of aircraft. Lightnings, Phantoms, Vulcans, Victors, Harriers, to name but a few, says Colin in Doncaster. Good list of planes there. I think most of those would enter my top 10. Good morning and happy Easter, Alex. Regarding voter fraud, if 16-year-olds have the right to vote and they commit election fraud, how will Labour put them on trial as a child or as an adult? Asks Brian. I think it's mad, this whole let's give 16-year-olds the vote, and then at the same time it's like, wow, they can't go on social media. Their brains might be warped. They're too young. Well, are they adults or are they children? It's ridiculous. It is, well, we know what it's all about. It's trying to sort of mess about psychologically with numbers because they think more 16-year-olds are going to vote for them. Well, the Labour Party might want to rethink that because more 16-year-olds are probably going to vote for the Green Party. OK, we're going to be taking a short break, but I am so excited to tell you that... such a good friend of mine is going to be joining us in the studio. The brilliant Andrew Gold, who is the host of the Heretics podcast. It is going from brilliant to even more brilliant. If you don't watch it, you really must. He does the best interviews. He's a sensation. He's going to be here right after this, so don't you go anywhere.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Oh, Lord, my God, when I am...
How Great Thou Art by Elvis. So we're playing hymns because it's Easter Sunday. And I had sent Chris, the producer, all my favourite sort of modern, happy, clappy, woo hymns. And now we're going old school. We're going gentle and old school. So it's sort of like I'm sitting there waiting to get really hyped up because, you know, he is risen and all of that. You know me.
Yes.
Andrew and I were actually in Israel together, and it was amazing, wasn't it?
Do you love God and stuff?
I love Jesus.
Yeah.
Big fan of his work.
This is his time, like you say. This is the moment.
This
isn't it?
is the
Easter.
big one.
Not for King Charles, though, is it?
Why didn't he do that? Yeah.
Well, it's not Islamic enough. What? Can you say that? Is that the thing? A lot of stuff's going around social media about that. He does push for the Islam stuff. He's not really saying much about the Christian stuff. Maybe it's just not in vogue right now.
It's definitely not in vogue. But it's no. But I mean, apparently they don't normally do an Easter message. But I kind of think read the room. Get on with it.
Get some, at least just Easter eggs and stuff. Can you even call them that? They're just sort of chocolate round
holiday
receptacles.
Holiday cocoa ovals, receptacles of cacao.
Yeah.
Someone was trying to explain to me what the Easter egg represents the other day, and I can't remember what it is, but it is something.
Ducks.
How was your Passover, by the way?
Yeah, good, thanks.
Oh, nice.
Went to my aunt's house for some dinner. It was all good, big mix of different kinds of people, some Jewish, some not, who like to sort of get involved in the whole thing. And I mean, to be honest, I hope they're not listening, because you have to go through the whole, and you'll love it. Maybe we'll get you around next year.
Yeah, man.
You have to go through all the whole stories and the whole thing, and really you're sitting there going, bloody hell, I'm hungry. You know, but that's what religion is. You know, religion is lots of being hungry and having to.
I love the fact that when we were in Israel and we went to Shabbat, and it was it's just basic. It's so much eating.
Yes.
It's like, here comes some chicken soup. Here comes the bread. Here comes this salad. It's just like, whoa! It's like a conveyor belt of feasting.
Yeah.
And that's a weekly thing. It puts roast dinner to shame.
That's a lovely Friday night tradition. But when it's something like Passover, that's when you really are reading these long books about things that happened in Egypt, which I'm not convinced are historically accurate.
Well, what bits? Because I don't know anything about it.
It's
really
about the Jews being freed from Egypt,
right? Yeah.
As they were slaves there, and so on, and there were the Pharaoh, and the Pharaoh's killing the firstborn, and so on, and it's this whole long story. That I don't know how accurate that is historically, but I suppose it symbolises something. And the irony being that the likes of Owen Jones and Zach Polanski were having a Passover
I
together.
know. Yeah. I was just saying that I hate the way. What do you feel about sort of, the whole Zach Polanski, the Islamism, the fact that he's like, I'm a Jew, and changed his name to sound, if anything, more Jewish.
Yes.
And it's like, oh.
Yeah. If you were going to change your name to sound more Jewish, you probably wouldn't choose Polanski, it being the director who allegedly did things with underage people of a underage persuasion.
You wouldn't be reaching for your Weinsteins, your Epsteins.
Those are the ones not to have. Weinstein, Epstein, Polanski, immediately. Now, Allen doesn't sound Jewish, but Woody Allen. But then that's different. He should be separate from the other ones because we don't know and blah, blah, blah. But look, there are some people who happen to be Jewish who things have happened in Hollywood. And I just think, it's a weird one to go with. I don't know if it's that he has some sort of historic whatever with the name Polanski. Ultimately, it's the funny thing here where you've got the sort of far left has got who are accused of anti-Semitism. They've got a Jewish leader. Reform, who are accused of anti-Islam or Islamophobia, have got a Muslim. What is he? He was the
Shadow Home Secretary or something.
Zia Yusuf and Layla Cunningham and all of that. And then the Tories. Oh, you're a bunch of racists. Well, now they've got a black leader. So I wonder to what extent there is this kind of like everyone's, it's a shield.
Yeah.
But we know historically that throughout the Middle East, Islam did team up with the left and then killed all the left when they got into power. So I don't know. I mean, if the Greens won, if I was Zach Polanski, I'd be like, okay, I need to get out of the country right now.
What have you ushered in, son?
Yeah.
I mean, I was looking at, I keep saying this on the show, but looking at social media accounts of some of these prominent Islamists who all said, right, we, before the Gorton and Denton by-election, vote for the Greens, vote for the Greens, vote for the Greens. And then after that thing at Trafalgar Square with the old, the dance routines with the thrusting of the groins. Oh, my gosh. They've gone, maybe we don't like them anymore.
Yeah. Well, this is always going to happen, and it's about how patient can Muslims or Islamists be with the Greens. How patient can the Greens be with the fact that, I don't think I've ever heard them mention environmental policy at all, which is supposed to be the point of the Greens, or at least economic policy. It's almost entirely just about can we be nicer to Muslims? I mean, no one's hiding it on either side here, but it's a marriage of convenience. It's a scorpion and frog kind of thing.
I want to get your opinion on the war in Iran. Because, I'll set out my stall, which is I'm very for it. I think it's necessary. I think it's being prosecuted brilliantly, militarily. I think it's just been like bam, 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 taking out that. You got no navy, you got no surface-to-air missiles, and so few civilian casualties. What I'm hearing is in Iran there are mutineers, there's people sort of, within the armed forces, within the IRGC suspecting one another, assassinating one another. And yes, there's going to be a fallout. The closure of the Straits of Hormuz would have been priced in by military strategists for decades. It's not like it's a new thing, this whole maybe we'll have to go to war with Iran at some point. I think it's going to get pretty hectic coming up now. I think that, Trump's sending a lot of stuff into the region. But when I watch legacy media and this whole, oh, it's an unjust war. Oh, what is his plan? It's the weirdest. What is the plan? Which is that you find this, don't you, with news stories? Someone will say something once and then everybody echoes it as if it's like, what you've got to say. Well, of course, I'm very sensible and I've a long time been a commentator. I know what I'm talking about. But unless we know, you could reveal what the off-ramp is going to be. And Steve Gill, who's a former White House advisor, came on the show yesterday and said, well, the Americans didn't say when they were giving $60 billion to Ukraine, Europe, what's your plan with Ukraine? You don't seem to have one, because they don't.
Yeah. I spent a great week with Alex, as you said, in Israel, and it was just all like, I mean, the energy you have. There's no one like you. I don't know if there's anyone like you who. I watch you do it, and you're doing monologues. There's no one there. You're in the. You must do this at home. You must talk to yourself sometimes. Do you?
No.
But you're so good at doing it. I mean, you're talking to people, aren't you? But you're so good at this. As for Iran, I'm not an expert on that stuff. I don't know the geopolitical stuff that well. I'm more about cults and ideologies. Why is everyone converting to Islam? Why is everyone doing that?
Yeah.
Those kinds of things. So I look at Iran as someone who maybe like most viewers is like, well, I don't really, okay, what's going on here? It does seem to be a little bit different to a lot of other countries. It's not this is a 90 million strong, huge country with amazing history and whatever. And a lot of it's not Islamic either. It's Persian and a lot of secular people, a lot who are not, a lot who love this kind of Ayatollah guy who died, and now the son who might be gay. I don't know if he is. I mean, if he wasn't, is exactly what Trump would say he was.
Oh, he'd be perfect for joining the Green Party then, wouldn't he? He ticks all the boxes.
Well, he does. I mean, that's the thing. So what do? You get look, when I first heard about it, wow, they swept in, they killed the Ayatollah. That's because I don't know, right? So I'm sitting there as a layperson going, gosh, they've won. And then it's like, oh no, because there's still like 30 million people who would each step up every time the Ayatollah was killed and take their place.
Like whack-a-mole.
Yeah, it's like
whack-a-mole.
Exactly. This is why you're too good at this. Yes, it's whack-a-mole. The whack-a-mole war. So
the whack-a-mole war.
The whack-a-mole war. Yeah. So how do you do it? What happens now? I don't know how this ends.
But then I kind of think, but did we do this, like, and we're not doing this really about anything. In World War II, we're like, wow, what are we going to do if we can't get rid of Hitler? Or if Hitler dies, who's going to replace it? I mean, I wasn't around in World War II, believe it or not, folks. But there's sort of this strange idea, because, surely wars change based on circumstance, how things develop. No one's Mystic Meg. But I'm like, if any war was going to be planned meticulously, it would be that with Iran, because for decades now, the Pentagon have sat there going we got a problem over in Tehran.
What if it's not? What if it's not planned? We don't know, right? And what if they've planned? They've said don't do it, and Trump's gone. You know what though? I fancy it. I fancy doing the war.
No, but America moved all of those assets into the region 3 weeks before they struck Iran.
Yeah, but Trump's in charge of all that, isn't he? So maybe he's gone, we're doing this, we're doing it.
He is, but, I don't think... I mean, presidents have executive power, but all the heads of, the military, although a lot of them have been fired, haven't they? Let's be fair, Attorney General, bye. But, there will be very bright bods in the Pentagon who sort of give him a slate of options. I don't think Donald Trump is there, like, with a big map-moving thing, pieces around on a board like this.
There was footage of Trump some decades ago saying if I were president, I'd go in and take Iran and get their oil. I mean, he was literally saying that's what he would plan to do. Good. I'd rather that the oil were in the hands of the Americans than the Iranians. I think that the people in charge of Iran are the worst people in the world. They are the worst people in the world. So if we can get rid of them, best thing ever. It's just, is this going to work? And I guess time will tell. I'm not Mystic Meg.
I think apparently he's not in Mar-a-Lago this weekend, which he normally is.
Yeah.
And there is so much...
Tommy Robinson.
Is he there? Is that like Donald Trump's like, well, I better not go down Mar-a-Lago. But it's, a lot of assets are still being moved into Iran. A lot. This is only going to heat up. This is going to get very hot very quickly, I would imagine. I think he's going to... there's something about Trump that he likes the symbolism as well, doesn't he? The idea of, it's Easter, and then after Easter it's going to be like boom, boom, bang, bang.
yeah. But then it was that in the Bible, the Easter bang bang. I think he likes that.
Easter bang bang.
I think he'd go for Ramadan was the sort of, but it wasn't it? It was like was that when it started?
Yeah, no, it was, wasn't it? Because they were all sort of together in one place. I don't know the exact date,
hungry,
whether it was sort of Eid or
vaguely hungry.
But it was during Ramadan.
But if you have Ramadan in this time of year, that's not really a fast. That's going to offend a lot of people.
In what sense?
Because it's done from sunrise to sunset. So when you've got a day that's like 3 hours long, you're just saying, I'm skipping lunch.
Oh, right.
If it's held in the middle of summer, that's a bit...
Oh, in the Northern Hemisphere, that then gets a bit tougher.
Those in the Southern Hemisphere right now, and there are more and more Muslims moving to the Southern Hemisphere, sort of moving down there, they might be having a bit of they had a bit of a tough time. But those in the Northern Hemisphere, that was like, a few hours.
So got short days, long nights.
I've had diets like that. Yeah, you know, I'm not having a go. Like, fair play, do your thing, but come on, guys. Like, some of it was a little bit, you know, they were trying to show off the football. They had to take breaks in the football. And they could finally eat again. It's like, you ate 5 hours ago, mate. Like, come on.
Yeah, there is something performative at the moment about a lot of this stuff. We're going to take a short break, ladies and gentlemen. Don't go anywhere because Andrew Gold's staying.
Yeah.
Welcome to Down the Local, the show that goes from pub to pub across the country, speaking to the punters about the subjects driving us all nuts at the moment.
That's Rachel Reeves, Rachel Thieves, Rachel McCount.
I don't really know Meghan Markle. I know Meghan Markle's from Sinks, and that's about it.
I don't know about anyone else, and I don't know where this is going. I have 0% beers, and I feel...
Raising the flag, I think, is symptomatic of its desperation.
Is public transport good value for money?
No, it isn't.
You really don't like speaking to people.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Oh, songs of praise. We did that yesterday, Tech. It's not technically a hymn, is it? I mean, look, I'll take it. I'll take it. Claire in Buckley in North Wales says, I'm absolutely loving the hymns today. The hymns, And Can't It Be and Guide Me, O Thy Great Jehovah are two of my absolute favourites. My late granddad was in Flint Male Voice Choir, and I can still hear him singing these hymns in church when they're part of the service. Happy Easter. Looking forward to Weird Hour, as per usual. We're going to detain Andrew Gold for Weird Hour. You have no idea what's coming up, mate.
Good.
Weird Hour is, well, it is what it is.
With Coxie.
With Coxie. It is weird. It's just sort of an unscripted, well, like this really, but even more peculiar and energetic and odd.
What's your favourite hymn?
Oh, mine is this one called I Thank God. Very modern. Oh, it's so good. It's sort of like, because my church is also rock guitars and jumping around on stage.
Yeah.
And Easter Sunday, it's so good. It's absolutely packed. And it's like being at a sort of music festival.
Yeah.
And then at the end, they tend to do stuff like play I Thank God at the end. And they release all of these balloons across the whole congregation.
nice.
It's a huge celebration. It is so joyful. It's my favourite day in the Christian calendar.
That's nice.
Because everyone always thinks, you know, especially non-Christians, they think it's all about Christmas. But Christians are like, nah, man. Easter Sunday.
It. Jews love Christmas in the UK. I think that's a British thing, though, because in America and other countries it's not really a thing, but in the UK, Jewish, because they're so assimilated, it's just we're just all about Christmas.
Yeah, I like that,
Hanukkah.
because I think, isn't it a case of, like, some of the Jewish community in America are sort of quite strict on, you can't have a Christmas tree?
I think maybe. I don't know. We only had Christmas trees. We didn't even do Hanukkah. We just did Christmas the whole way through. You saw I got baptised. You saw me got baptised in the River Jordan.
The River Jordan.
And I was singing the Michael Jackson
Jackson
song.
in that river together. Oh, yeah. That was
like the River
Jordan.
And I will then say to thee.
Good voice.
Yeah, well, you know that. You heard me.
I know, that was fun. Boogieing around on a bus around Israel. It was amazing. That was honestly one of the best weeks of my life. I loved it.
And that's like a hymn as well, that song.
It is. I mean, Michael Jackson, though. That's not, you know.
Yeah.
I've got a question here from Ian.
Yeah.
What is your all-time favourite documentary?
Whoa.
That's a thinker. That's hard to just pluck out of nowhere.
So I watched all the Louis Theroux ones, obviously, because everyone did. And obviously the Louis and the Nazis one was just nuts. And he meets this guy who thinks he was like a white supremacist. And Louis says, but you don't think you're better looking than Denzel Washington, do you? And he's going, yeah, I think so. If I had his money, I'd be, you know, all the women would come to me. And he's like this not very good looking guy. He thinks he's better as well. But so that was brilliant. And obviously the Westboro Baptist Church ones. But then if it was one outside of my kind of realm of like the on-screen person who's walking around, bumbling around, meeting people, there's that one that is called The Stranger, about a kid who went missing. Did you ever see this one?
No.
Kid who went missing. It was like 10, 15 years ago, the documentary. And the kid went missing, American, like from the, you know, deep south, or I don't know where they're from. And kid goes missing, and then like 10 years later, there's a phone call, and it's like someone saying they're the kid. But the kid's got it's like a French accent, and is like 18 or whatever. It seems to be 18.
I vaguely remember this story.
And like it goes nuts. And I was just watching this, like I just remember going on, this is the best documentary I've ever seen.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I might watch that this evening.
Really
That sounds like a good one. Did you watch the Manosphere one?
No.
Have you not? That surprises me. I thought you'd be right on that.
Yeah, well, so I'm very jealous and competitive.
Right.
And so Louis, and the thing is, I asked friends, so I knew various bits about this. I get annoyed regarding the Manosphere, firstly because I don't think it's anywhere near as big of a thing as people think it is. I think most people are watching them because it's like a circus, right? It's funny. Like some of the views, you go, oh my God, Andrew Tate got 1 million views. Well, I'm one of them. I viewed it because I thought it was so mental what he was saying.
Yeah. It's sort of like the rubbernecking at a car crash, isn't it? It's sort of people who watch it out of a morbid curiosity rather than because they're like, yeah, I want to be Andrew Tate. And
then there's like a bunch of kids, okay, they're watching it. And then Andrew Tate, Sneeko, I think, and various others have all... I know I'm going to sound obsessed.
No, but they've all converted to Islam.
They've all converted to Islam. Now, that is not maybe everything about the Manosphere, but it's very relevant. And I asked people, like, is that even mentioned in the Manosphere? And it doesn't.
Yeah, no, it doesn't touch upon that at all.
And I thought, I can't watch this then because this is disingenuous. And yes, it's entertainment and it's a lot of fun, but it's superficial. It doesn't scratch the surface. And if you can't mention Islam, and Louis never has done in any of his documentaries, he's done black nationalists.
Has there ever been any sort of documentary into Islamism in Europe? Like, really, has there ever been any concerted effort to look at radical preachers?
Yes.
I mean,
but this is even scarier because yes, there were. That used to be a regular part of our media. So the Stacey Dooley one in Luton in the BBC.
Oh yeah, when she went sort of back to Luton and they were and
Channel
it's
4.
like, oh gosh,
Channel 4
didn't
did
expect
one,
that to happen.
an amazing one on Channel 4, undercover, looking into the radicalisation of the mosques around the country. They unbelievable documentaries. People risked everything. They went in, they did this kind of thing, and then what happened? Either Islam suddenly became less of a threat in the UK, which we know isn't true because it's about 10 times the threat it was at the time when they made those documentaries, or what's happened is we've gone beyond the event horizon. You know about the event horizon was the stars and the black holes. When once you're beyond the event horizon of a black hole, basically you're so deep into it that no light can escape anymore. So no one will ever see you again. You'll never be able to get back out. You know that kind of thing. Right. We've gone into the event horizon of discussion about Islamism, so that the BBC and Channel 4 today, it's so far gone they couldn't even make those documentaries. 15 years ago they did.
Yeah.
And then it went quiet.
Who's been your favourite person that you've had on your...
You.
Oh, good answer.
Twice.
Obviously.
Twice,
yeah. I'm looking for the third, actually.
Yeah,
I'm ready to come back. I've got things to talk about.
I'll have to have another look. How did it do? Analytics and all of that.
Oh, right. So only if I compete. Who's been your biggest?
Richie Herron, who is a man who got his willy cut off. For trans reasons, and it just...
Oh, right. Okay, so I was wondering what was going on there. I was like, what, live on your show?
Yeah.
No wonder it got such good algorithms.
Yeah, sort of circumcision times 10 kind of thing. No, he was into that, you know, he was brilliant. And you never know who it's going to be, because you have these people on who are super famous and they don't get so many views, and then you get these people, and he's not like a big name kind of thing.
Never heard of him, yeah.
Right, but Richie spoke so well and was so eloquent about it and was so angry about what had happened to him, because he had a mental health issue.
How old was he when it happened?
He was in his early 20s, so it wasn't like a kid's thing.
But yeah, he's sort of... I think, look, at the end of the day, dysphoria, if you've got genuine dysphoria, is a mental health issue. It's I always think about this whole craziness. It reminds me of the sort of Victorian period with electroshock therapy and full frontal lobotomies and things like that to deal with psychological problems. It's really crazy.
They'll be talking about it that way. What happened with Richie was so infuriating, because he needed the therapy. Most people can't afford therapy or whatever, but he got it on the NHS because of this whole situation. And he implied that what happened was they basically said, unless you're actually going to go through with this and get the operation, we can't continue to give you therapy on the NHS. And he was so desperate, because it was his only link to being able to discuss this and handle it and everything, that he felt pressured into getting the chop, and woke up after the surgery and was just absolutely horrified by what he'd done. As you would be, and you can't turn that back. And
no, that's the thing with surgical interventions. That's that, and you know, the same with all these people, you know, forcing kids to take puberty blockers. It's sinister. Right, we're going to keep you. We're going to bring in the brilliant Paul Cox. Strap yourself in, Andrew, because it definitely gets, well, interesting, lively, fun, and weird. So there you go. Sun's almost over the yard arm somewhere in the world. It's about to be past noon when you rejoin me. So if you fancy an Easter tipple, go on. If not, put the kettle on. Whatever you want to do, make sure you join me after these adverts. I'll see you on the other side.
This journey of me following the migrants went from sort of 10 in the morning, all around the clock, to late at night, to the point where, you know, on buses, on trains, through streets, at every key point, French military police and the French police, they were there. They were on the bus, taking down notes, taking pictures, but not doing anything to deter the migrants or stop them, just being there. I was sat in the tent and he was showing me through photos of his phone, scrolling through. This was barbaric, horrific stuff. Blokes going through walls in vehicles and then jumping out and shooting everyone. You know, his WhatsApp picture was him with a mask on, with a gun like that.
You're in a tent with this guy.
I'm in a tent with this guy, and actually he's just showing me this stuff. I'm just thinking, this is not the kind of bloke you want to be coming to the UK.
across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Oh, I love the fact that we're all over the place today. By the way, hello. It's just sort of weird. We always have to start. It's like unexpectedly. It's a bit like when you listen to Joe Rogan's podcast and it just starts in the middle of a conversation. That's what's happening here increasingly. I love the fact it comes in. You've got Tommy Tiptoes lying on the floor, plugging things in. I don't know what he's doing. All I can see sticking out from under the desk is Tommy Tiptoes' bottom and two loafers.
He's twiddling my knobs.
He's twiddling. Oh, great.
I think he's seriously unwell. Let's leave him there till after the show and call an ambulance.
He's
still there.
Tommy, you're alive, darling. You're right, make a noise. Make a noise if you're okay, Tom. There you go, he's fine. I love that we came in and Andrew goes, I've been thinking a lot about this Chinese thing. So we better, oh God, this again. We better explain what you've been thinking a lot about the Chinese thing. So I was saying during the advert break, oh, hello, Paul, by the way, Paul Cox is here. Start Weird Hour, ladies and gentlemen. And also, because it's Easter, we've got a Holy Trinity, or perhaps fantastic. An unholy Trinity. Who's the Father?
I wish I could do that.
Who's the Father, who's the Son?
You can do that? I can't.
Since the 90s I've been working on that.
I can't do it. I gave up in '97.
He's got a good one.
But he's already the coolest guy in the room.
Yeah. He is.
That's my heritage. It's Ali G, Sacha Baron Cohen.
I was going to say, if we are the Holy Trinity, out of you and I, what have you got in your hand?
Oh, it's an Easter egg tattoo, obviously.
Can you hold that in front of your face?
It's because I'm part of the Illuminati.
It looks like an angry birthmark, if I'm honest with you.
It's beautiful.
It's wearing off. Yeah. It's wearing off.
But I was going to say, if we are the Holy Trinity, well, he's clearly the Holy Ghost. He's the palest man on earth.
Yes.
Other than Tommy Tiptoes.
Well, I don't think anyone's paler than me. I've never met anyone paler than me.
You're going to have a pail off. I think weirdly, you've got paler hands, you've got a paler face.
Yeah. He's got a fake tan on.
Have you?
Well, I've got a fake egg.
That is a weird looking thing.
Yes, it's obviously a child did it, and you know, you've got to go along with these things sometimes, Alex.
Yeah. Honestly, so from where I'm sitting, it's very strange things are going on. I can just, whatever Tommy Tiptoes is doing down there, he's not on his tiptoes, that is for sure.
So the Chinese, Alex, the Chinese.
Oh, the Chinese. So I was basically saying, Andrew and I were having a discussion about, so yesterday I did something so bad. I committed radio crime, live on air radio. I don't know what came over me at all, but I was reading this. I had to read out a Japanese name, and for reasons I cannot explain, I did a Japanese accent while doing it. I don't know why. And I was immediately remorseful. I was like, Ofcom are going to come and lynch me. That's it. My life's over. I'm going to be cancelled. But then I sort of thought, well, the BBC do this all the time with stuff, don't they? They've got Emmanuel Macron. They've got the Dullabun. Yeah. And do you remember during back during the old ISIS stuff, when all of a sudden they started going Daesh? They liked it.
Where did that come
Daesh.
From? I don't know. That's happened. Like Al Qaeda has had this kind of growth over the years of changing of names that and sometimes I'm sure someone's just bunged them in. It'd be someone at the BBC who thinks they're
ISIS,
the intelligentsia.
ISIL, Islamic State, and that was what became Daesh. But but BBC always ham up funny accents when it comes to anything in the Middle East. But I was like, if anyone was not going to care about me accidentally doing an accent, it'd probably be the Japanese, because we were saying, weren't we? And the whole the whole push for racism, diversity, DEI. You never hear the Chinese communities going, well, where are the Chinese newsreaders? Where's the Chinese MPs? Where's the, why are there no Chinese television presenters? They're just chill.
Yeah. Also, an incredibly successful race. The Chinese, really, in terms that they're intelligent. They in academia they exceed. I don't think they're too worried.
Let's do our favourite races.
Oh my God, let's not do that.
So the reason I thought about this.
No, you can't
not the favourite races.
Let him finish,
Only think it.
Let him finish.
Don't think aloud.
No, the reason I've been thinking about it is because of, and it's been winding me up ever since it happened. I'm a football fan, and there's a footballer called Rodrigo Bentancur, who is Uruguayo or Uruguayan as
you get to do that because your wife.
All the countries he's been to as well.
Yes, exactly. And he made a joke about his teammate, Heung-min Son, and he said, "Oh, he looks like his cousins" or something like that.
I remember that. Yeah.
Everyone went completely nuts, and he ends up getting a 7-match ban.
Yeah.
Which is, if you break someone's
didn't know
leg,
this.
that's 3 matches for breaking someone's leg.
Was this at Tottenham?
Yeah. So this was like a year and a half ago.
Why do I not know this?
I looked into it because I used to live in Argentina, which is basically Uruguay. They all call each other. They call each other like, you know, Jewy and fatty when they're not Jews and they're not, you know, or
Jewy and fatty, which happens to just be this combination.
Oh my God.
I don't know why those two came to mind immediately.
Just the subconscious, Andrew, working.
But Chinesey, it's like they'll have a friend who's got slightly eyes, you know, when they smile, their eyes.
I loved it when nicknames used to be really ironic. You know, we're not. Chris and I went to the pub after work yesterday, and we were discussing how we just miss
Jokes.
There's no humour in the UK. We're watching. Who's that comedian we're watching, Chris? Chris Santino. No, Andrew Santino, not Chris Santino. Do you ever heard of that guy?
American comedian.
He's an American guy,
Yeah,
a ginger guy.
Yeah,
and
he's great. Yeah,
we're watching him doing impressions. Well, we're not allowed to in the UK. That's the point.
Yeah,
he was doing impressions of a particular famous scientist from the United Kingdom,
Stephen Hawking.
And Epstein Island, and you know, sort of doing doing the voice, doing the voice and the mannerisms, and we were there like, you know, crying with laughter. But in America, you can still be funny. Here, I just don't. I've been watching that thing on is it Amazon Prime, The Last Person Laughing or whatever.
Oh, Jimmy Carr and everyone.
It's just not funny.
No, I don't. I mean,
it's not funny at all.
I don't watch any comedy on TV really at all. And you know, as a comedian, I guess it'd be a busman's holiday. But it's not because of that. It's just there isn't anything that really captures my imagination. Everything's on independent media that's worth watching.
Yeah.
In terms of comedy and in terms of creativity, we just don't. What we're seeing in the main. It'd be interesting to see how SNL UK pans out. I've not watched. I watched some of the first episode. You know, I wish them well. You know, it's not easy to produce good comedy, particularly in the UK at the moment, so hopefully they do okay, but it's not going to be for me, I know that much. But there's nothing now, because in order for it to become any good, you have to be incredibly irreverent, and you also just have to let them do their thing.
Yeah.
Because there'll be some mistakes.
Well, it's like, because the thing is, comedy comes from basically taking the proverbial out of someone, isn't it? I mean, that's what it's all based on. It's sort of calling someone a derogatory name, and it's funny. It's sort of cathartic to do that. And so now, in order to fill
what
that
Alex
gap...
told us, in the break, she was just having a go at the both of us.
Yeah,
totally.
It's funny, isn't it, Paul and Andrew? It's funny when we do this to you.
Yeah.
but in order to sort of fill that gap, because that's what everyone was used to, what you have to have now is a diverse cast of comedians who can take the, you know, rip the proverbial out of their own skin colour or their own culture. Do you know what I mean?
They can't do it to anyone else.
You can't do it to anyone else. You've got to have the person so they can do it to themselves, so we can all laugh, and it's safe to laugh because it's somebody who's got like diplomatic, you know, comedy pass.
When Rosie Jones came out and gave her basically her rules for comedy, the thing that bothered me the most about that was how many people agreed. And that became a consensus. Not people like me.
For comedy?
Well, you can't punch up. You can't. You got to. You can punch up. You can't punch down. And you know, you can't talk about something if you've not had any direct involvement, etc. So, which is obviously a nonsense, because that's where all of the humour comes from.
Yeah.
The misunderstanding of a situation is where the humour comes. You can be the butt of the joke and say the things that the other people are thinking. There's a comedian still on the circuit. He's been around for a long time. His name's Bob Mills, and I gigged with him recently, and he's got this excellent routine where he talks about the trans debate, but he makes the whole debate about what his wife thinks about the trans debate, not what he thinks. And through her, he has all the debates that everyone wants to have about the trans debate. And you can kind of get away with it because he's created a character that seems really misinformed, but is saying all the things. Yeah, I don't even know if it exists.
I feel like a moment there that I got a bit sort of. I've had so much night nurse, so I've got this ruddy cough.
Oh, mate, that
I feel slightly sort of dopey today, and I thought you were sort of casting a spell on me. You're sort of going like trans debate. I was worried I was going to be like, Alex, I must be a man.
I wish you had told me this before I hugged you hello. That you had this horrible contagious illness.
I reckon it's gone past the contagion. Look, there's only one snotty tissue.
Everyone says that.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
I came in, she's snotting and sneezing everywhere.
Says him who's addicted to Sudafed. He's like in the corner there.
Yeah. Brushing her teeth with bacon when I came in.
And we're going out for lunch after this as well. The first thing he says is, "Are you going to finish your lunch?" As I go to give him a hug with a rasher of bacon in my hand.
I was worried that she's not going to have lunch. She's not going to have an appetite when we have lunch. But it was like Oh, look at it. It's like a grotesque
Sorry,
Dick Dickens character that we're on the radio with.
I'm a very disgusting person.
You are disgusting. Oh.
Right, Chris is going to get to one of the stories.
Yeah,
okay,
she's not wearing trousers. No, go on.
you don't want to see what's going on under here. Where do we start? Should we do it like a sort of raffle? Do you want to pick a story?
Why is it weird, Al? Why weird?
Well, because I'll tell you, let's explain to Andrew, because what happened a couple of months ago is Alex and I actually worked together for the first time. We came on air not knowing whether the station was on air because it had been off air.
Yeah, there was technical faults, so it's kind of been going on and off, and it was still broadcasting, and I was scratching like a baboon. I was like this, doing a baloo on my chair. Like
Alex hilariously thought the whole of London had a power cut because this blind was down and she couldn't see out. So my first experience of Alex was like, I don't know if it was a test, and she went, look, you can see there's been a power cut in London, Paul, and I'm like, no, I'm pretty sure that's the blind.
And also, we had no show.
And we didn't have any stories to talk about for an hour.
Down the pub, and so we hadn't really put anything together. So we just sat here
for an hour, and it went weird.
Feeling airtight got very weird very quickly.
We talked about meat.
Jellied meat. That was it. It was all about jellied meat, wasn't it?
Our favourite 90s children's television programmes.
Have you still got your Weird Al T-shirt?
Yeah.
Why don't I wear it? Why are you
That's
not
such a
wearing
good point.
the Weird Al T-shirt?
I have worn it.
I actually made this special T-shirt for him. It had like cat astronauts in space.
Oh, nice.
It had a tinned meat. Well, it had like all of our favourite things.
Yeah, it did. Three-fingered gin.
Three-fingered gin.
Which was something different when I was growing up. But
here we go. Chris is getting nagging us. We got to get right to the stories. Okay.
Stories.
That one, I'm going to save that one for last because that's my favourite. Let's see. But bit boring. Let's do this. So apparently, Meta-billionaire Mark Zuckerberg is constructing a bunker under his compound, complete with a forest of fake giant sequoia trees. So his neighbours in the heart of Silicon Valley are up in arms. They don't like what he's up to. The construction's essentially complete. Because he's such a fan of Star Wars, he's building an Armageddon-proof space. We're all going to need a bunker. That is based upon the Ewok tree village in The Return of the Jedi. He looks a bit like an Ewok, doesn't he? He's the palest man on Earth.
He is very... Well, he's a lizard person. Have you not watched David Icke?
Oh, I mean, I know of David Icke.
Sorry, I'm trying to say that as if it was pure fact. You looked at me and said, yeah, I have done
But also, the man looks permanently surprised by
He does, doesn't he? But obviously he's very successful. He's very successful.
Maybe he's surprised at his success.
I don't think he is.
Permanent state of surprise.
But this is very interesting because it's only the incredibly wealthy that can build these things.
An Ewok
they take life so
bunker.
unseriously that should it be the Armageddon, they're going to make it a theme, Star Wars thing. What are they going to... my question to these people is, what are they going to do when it's just them left? What are they going to do? What happens after the apocalypse? You just come out and all you've got is Mark Zuckerberg and Elon Musk.
Well, weren't those two supposed to be having a fist fight or something? Was it Zuckerberg and someone?
So I had a recent episode in Heretics about how autism has shaped the extremes of the right and left. Because everywhere you look, it's quite a lot of autistic people. And I'm happy to just label them all autistic when they're not. It offends a lot of people.
Savants, aren't they?
Yeah, I mean, Zuckerberg's got to be, and Elon Musk, he says...
I feel like Chris is starting to nervously sweat here. Is that okay? Did you press the dump button, Chris? Oh, he did, and he's happy with that. Okay, carry on.
We're good. Well, you can say autism, can't you?
I don't know, but can you sort of like speculatively diagnose people?
I've been doing it for years.
You should be able to.
Which probably makes me... I'm almost sort of autistically zoned in on who I think is autistic, so maybe I am.
And they all diagnose themselves anyway, don't they? 90-odd% of the people I know that are autistic or on the spectrum in some way have diagnosed themselves through a questionnaire on the internet for £2.99.
But they like to say they're neurodivergent. When you say, right, you're autistic, they go, I don't know if I like that word.
You've got to have an acronym these days, don't you? If you don't have OCD, ADHD, PTSD, HSBC, LBQTY, HDMI cable, whatever it is.
We're slightly varying ages. I think, Andrew, you're in your 30s still, aren't you?
Yeah.
I'm in my mid-40s and you're younger than me.
Oh, thank you for doing that as kindly.
You are, yeah.
Let's not talk about the women's age.
Explain old things to me, please.
But all of us still would have
lived... What was it like, Paul?
Well, actually, it's a good point, because I went to senior school in the 90s and they didn't have any of those things. You just had weird people and people that could get away with it.
I was still at that. That was still me, and that was just after when all the stuff happened.
You had the special room, didn't you, where people went to read the special books, and it's sort of like...
multi-faith prayer room now.
Oh, really?
Well, that's what it would be.
Yeah. Imagine that must be a right old bundle of love.
So my ex, who went to your school, got told off for smoking in the multi-faith prayer room.
Wow.
Could have been his religion.
Yeah.
Very offensive.
There you go. Apparently, we've got to go to a break. Right.
Of course we
See
are.
you soon.
Oh, is this on air?
Welcome to Down the Local, the show that goes from pub to pub across the country, speaking to the punters about the subjects driving us all nuts at the moment.
That's Rachel Reeves, Rachel Thieves, Rachel McCown.
I don't really know Meghan Markle. I know Meghan Markle's from Sinks, and that's about it.
I don't know about anyone else, and I don't know where this is going. I have 0% beard, and I feel
Raising the flag, I think, is symptomatic of its desperation.
Is public transport good value for money?
No, it isn't.
You really don't like speaking to people.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
The guys are back.
Thank God you told us.
I know. Oh, they were talking about what they can't talk about. Do you know, Chris said in my ear, Paul knows what he's doing. Watch Andrew, he's used to podcasting. As in, like, you know, you don't know about the regulations off command
Who said
all
that?
over
Chris
you.
Evans?
No, not Chris Evans.
He's like, watch it.
God, dog buttons. This is exactly why. Oh, for God's sake.
We need Andrew every week.
No,
I feel
it's so much living in jeopardy. Okay, right.
Well, you can say the S word, can't you?
You can't. Absolutely,
Sausage.
you
I was
cannot.
talking about chips.
By the way, was that? Did you manage to get that one gone? Okay, good. So I don't have to do the formal apology, you know, because I've got, you know.
Who do you what group? What demographic do you apologise to for the S word?
This is how it goes. If like, I don't know. That's
not
a good
ours.
point.
Not
Sewers.
really ours.
Some men who work in sewers. But no, you know, when there's a swear word, even if it's not you who said it, even if it's someone citing a swear word that someone else says, you've got to do a very sort of serious. I sincerely, fully apologise for anybody who might have been affected by that combination of letters.
That, by the way, nobody has heard. Other than us three.
Can I just make a quick point about swear words, right? Swear words are arbitrary because of the history of swear words. They just goes along with society, right? So it used to be religious words were the ones you couldn't say. Hell, damn. Or you can say,
let's not list
say
things.
those.
Okay, you
can
probably
say those.
can. But I'm
you can say those because our society's moved on from that. Unfortunately, because you're a Christian, it shouldn't be the case. You shouldn't be able to say those words. But no one cares if you say those words. Then we got into this kind of Victorian bodily thing. I won't say those words. Yes, the word I just said that we're not allowed, right? But most people do say them. So people are not offended by them anymore. And then it's only the last 15 years, that's gone out the window. That's why you can say those words, even if your TV people say you can't. You can. It's now identity words. So it's the word that the Tourette's guy said.
You can't say that.
The ones about gay
but also,
people.
And the list changes. You know, you get regular updates from Ofcom. These aren't allowed. And then sometimes you sort of like, you know, use a word and then it's like, oh, is that allowed or not? I mean, for crying out loud, it's a word.
Of the future will be not the words. Let's not guess the words, but
windmill.
The subject. Climate
change.
Yeah, something to do with climate change.
Windmill. Yeah. John McWhorter, actually, he wrote this book, 9 Nasty Words, and I asked him, what do you think the next one will be? He's like, well, you don't know, but yeah, windmill or something, because it's climate. That's the next thing everyone's going to be interested in.
The climate religion.
I know.
Are you loving the old Artemis stuff, guys?
I am, actually. I was a little bit agnostic on it, not because I'm not interested in space, it seemed like there was a lot going on planet Earth.
There was a lot going on Earth to get excited about.
But the more I discussed it, the more, I covered the story, the more I thought, do you know what, it's good to have some hope of some kind, because there is a certain sort of American elitism about it that I quite like.
You're getting very serious, Paul.
I know,
this is weird. I was about to direct.
I'm recording this for Heretic as well.
Yeah.
Go on.
I was about to direct the conversation towards what it must be like up there in space. With the toilets broken, that can't be good.
Yeah, imagine that.
But apparently, so we had a space expert on who was saying to us, we had the list of the menu of all the things they're eating, and apparently in space they've got a special valve, so if you have a wee, it just goes out into space. Which is, probably fine. Like, what's going to happen in that?
Yeah.
Just nothing. But the fecal matter doesn't get released. Do you know why?
Is it because there's a certain bacteria in there, or is it?
Well, almost. They collect it and keep it so they can bring it back so Gillian McKeith can poke about in it. To see how space affects the body, they got to keep that stuff so it can be analysed.
Well, surely
so they poo store.
That needs to only happen once or twice. You don't need to
You don't need 6 tons of this stuff.
I want to know now about the International Space Station, right? Because they're up there for months and months at a time. Do they have like a whole sort of chamber which is just full of fecal matter? Is it sort of? Well done, let's get quick on the sound effects there, Tech Op.
Yeah.
But I'm fascinated by
there
this.
There are YouTube channels, you can go and watch them do all that stuff.
You can watch them go to the loo?
You can watch them to talk about the loo. They go and show the loo and all those things. I was up last night at 3 a.m, obviously very excited to come on the show, but also I was talking to ChatGPT.
I was up at 3 a.m.
Yeah.
I wish I'd messaged you. I literally messaged 3 people going, can't sleep, like fishing in the hope that someone else had insomnia.
Don't know how my wife
you are.
Yeah, don't worry, I'm just texting this lady from the thing at 3 a.m. in the morning.
She can't sleep. Don't
worry, it's nothing serious. She can't sleep.
If you just went, it's Alex, you'd just be like, no.
Talking about space poo.
Yeah, she's just messaged about fecal matter with a heart and bloody hell, Alex. She doesn't know. She loves you, but if it was you, it would be all right. But most women messaging at 3 a.m. in the morning would be a cause for concern, I would imagine. Yeah. Maybe I'd wake her up and say, Alex wants to talk to us. Let's all have a chat.
Well, I just remember one of the most profound conversations I had with your wife was all about the smell of a particular tree. And I'm not going to tell you what we thought it smelled like. It's 25 past midday. We can't do that.
So what it is?
It smelled like tissues you might find in a teenager's bedroom.
Those who
really?
Know.
I think I know the tree.
It's a weird tree that has a smell.
Yeah.
I don't know what the tree is, but it's around.
Yeah.
Okay. It's so hard. When is Weird Hour at 10 o'clock at night was so much easier than Weird Hour on a Sunday afternoon.
I was talking to ChatGPT because I just watched the Ryan Gosling film, right? About the space.
I've not seen it.
I've read the book. Yeah, terrible.
Mary,
it's the worst book I've ever read, right? But it's enjoyable. And then the movie was actually
what a review.
Reasonable. Because you know what his problem is? The guy who does those books, the problem is whenever there's a serious moment, he makes a really bad, silly, stupid joke. So in the movie, there's a bit where the guy's told some really bad news. It's a serious moment, and he doesn't want to now be an astronaut, and he says, I can't be an astronaut, I put the naught in astro or an astronaut or something, and he goes, and I can't even moonwalk, I'm not doing it. And it's like, this is supposed to be really
that wasn't ironic, that was their attempt to
he was trying to be like, oh no, I'm not, I don't know, it was like silly American-y kind of corny stuff, and it takes you out of the moment, whereas good films like Interstellar
keep you there.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's a good point.
But because of that, I was having a chat with ChatGPT and at like 3 a.m. and I'm going, right, I want to see other stars and things, I want to know what's going on in my lifetime. Theoretically, even if AI gets amazing, makes all this amazing stuff, we go at the speed of light somehow, or the closest you can get to the speed of light, and we go and see this, but will I get to know about the stuff? And even then it looks like no, because it's that far away.
Wow.
And it would take 20, 30 years to get to the nearest place, and if you went any further than that to get information back, it's just going to take way too long.
This is why Heretics is doing so well.
This has made a beautiful little segue for us, in fact, because like all of this stuff, I'm well into like the UAP stuff. Are you into that?
Why do we call it UAP now?
Because once upon a time. So basically, this is how it goes. So when they were called UFOs, unidentified flying objects, it just became a sort of term of mockery. It became sort of the people who were like, no, this is actually quite serious, so that there are phenomena that people are witnessing and all the rest of it, thought they needed to change their acronym. Because the old acronym had got like a bit cheap and nasty.
Like ISIS.
And then it's not. it starts off as like unidentified aerial phenomena, and now it is unidentified amorphous phenomena, because get this, guys, people think they're coming out of the ocean as well.
Right.
Not just that from outer space, but things live under the ocean.
Amorphous meaning it can come from any direction, or I thought amorphous just meant that it could change shape or something.
Well, yeah, I can't remember what it is now. But anyway, there's things coming out of space, there's orbs, there's triangle things, there's all this stuff. And I got obsessed with watching all the testimonies in front of Congress. I love it.
Yeah.
Because, it has become ridiculed. If you go like, oh, did you believe in aliens? Ah, ha, 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 you believe in aliens. But I'm like, no, I genuinely think, of course there's going to be life in the vast, infinite expanse of this universe. And I'm pretty sure they're knocking about, poking around with us like we're, creatures in a Petri dish. So, I always have the zoom out theory that if you're an ant in the Amazon rainforest, all you know is that little bit of the Amazon rainforest and your fellow ants. You don't know that you're in a rainforest. You don't know that you're in South America, that's on planet Earth, that's in a galaxy, that's in a... Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And so we kind of go like, oh, well, that's that. We're top tier. We're like king of the animals. But maybe we are as insignificant as microbes living on the head of a pin.
Well, of course I believe we are. I mean, I forget the name of the satellites that were sent out in the late 70s that are essentially travelling to the end of our solar system right now. Yeah. I forget the name of them. But they managed to take photographs of
They'll be very upset to learn that.
And,
well, it'll take them about 8 minutes for the people... If there are people on there, actually, but they're not manned, obviously.
According to ChatGPT, they'll never know that you don't know what they're called. They're too far away
that
now.
Would take like 8 minutes or something, I think.
Is it?
No, more. That would take hours for the travel speed of light to get to the edge of our solar system. I think it would take a few hours. I don't know. To get any
I want to know this information.
Our viewers will be able to tell us.
Someone's going to message in and tell us.
There was a space mission in the late 70s, early 80s, which was basically trying to travel to the end of the solar system, which they achieved, just kept going and going and going and going. Then begins with V, and I don't know why I can't remember.
What was the point of that? That's basically just like flushing money down the toilet. Off you go, bye.
They've taken photographs of the solar system. They've taken photographs.
Can they send that stuff back?
Yeah.
They have.
Okay, so it's not a waste of money.
Came back in black and white though, because it was the late 70s.
Yeah, it's rubbish.
But no, this is a crazy story. I don't know if you've read this. So when you're into the whole UAP thing, right? There's this whole sort of cloak and dagger about people who know you have to get in a skiff to learn special information, and that people are like, no, there's no UAPs. Yes, there are UAPs. And then if you sort of go on and testify that there are, that you know things, that you've seen stuff, it's like you get ridiculed, you lose your job, people are being killed, all the rest of it. Do you remember Gary McKinnon, who was an autist? He was. Well, that guy who hacked into the computers and America wanted him extradited, and Theresa May said, no, you can't. Because he had started to download highly classified photographs of things that had been seen. And as the picture's downloading, it's like, they found he'd hacked in, and then the Americans wanted him bad. But anyway, now, this is really creepy. There's a load of US scientists and lab employees who have died or gone missing, and they are all connected to all of this strange stuff. So one is in the Space Agency's Jet Propulsion Laboratory, worked on multiple projects tied to advanced satellite technology that could scan Earth and other planets. Just 13 months before his death, and I think he sort of disappeared. He reportedly died at the age of 60, and the cause of death has never been made public because an autopsy was never performed. Anyway, 13 months before, he was the lead researcher on the breakthrough that could help future space missions detect clear signs of life. Anyway, it goes on and on. There are now 8 scientists connected to all of this stuff who have mysteriously all worked together, gone missing on a hike. Are
they all 60 plus though?
They're all
I don't know. I ain't got all that information. No,
kept going in the hospital. One fell over.
Hospice.
This is so weird. So,
it is very weird. Let's not undermine the weirdness of this.
Yeah. So there's a guy who went missing who's an avid hiker.
How close was he to the edge?
The other one was.
He was left leaving his home on foot. He left his car locked in the driveway. Did not take his wallet, keys, or other personal items.
Weird. Another jumped out of the plane.
One of his colleagues, who had security clearance for sensitive information, vanished without a trace under nearly identical circumstances a couple of months later. I mean, it's just basically, if you were there sniffing around the aliens...
This is what... Well, you don't want to sniff around the aliens over here.
You don't want to.
You would, wouldn't you? You would sniff. Is that what you're saying?
You would want to know what they smell.
Well, I want to know. I want to know all about the aliens.
Wonder how smooth
that's
they
my
are.
favourite documentary. I like anything to do with the aliens.
Is that right?
It's. I mean, obviously, there's one clear, thing that connects all these things, and that is the fact that they worked with aliens. But it's very difficult to say. The trouble is, we're all programmed, aren't we, to see this stuff as a conspiracy? It could easily be the fact that they do know too much and they've got to be gone. We know that's true of other people who know too much. The amount of people that have known too much about Russia that have fallen off a balcony they don't know.
The speculation is because, like, in the sort of UAP community, people say that all the big defence companies are, they've recovered, crashed. Non-human technology, and they've like reverse engineered it, so now we can use all this like crazy stuff, and they want to keep hold of those secrets, and that's why it's like, no, you can't tell anyone about the aliens, they're giving us cool tech. And then other people are like, nah, it's got to be like the Russians or the Chinese or the Iranians who are trying to get to these people to get to their tech.
I'm not sure if they have reverse engineered this stuff. First of all, you've got to understand the principles of that technology and engineering in order to reverse engineer it. If you gave me and Andrew a spaceship, it would take us ages to figure out how to get in.
Yeah, but scientists would be better at it, wouldn't they?
Yeah,
they wouldn't give it to me and you.
Andrew, then, yeah, obviously.
Why wouldn't they give it?
We found a spaceship. Where's Paul Cox and Andrew Gold now?
Let's get them all. The new Mulder and Scully.
Get them in. It'd be brilliant. Imagine they gave it to us three.
We need someone
looking for the keys.
We need someone to sort this. We need someone to genetically reverse it. So on the one hand, it would solve the Fermi paradox. Where are they?
Well, that's the first thing I was thinking.
Yep, they have to be somewhere.
I love this. Is like the remake of X-Files.
Yes.
I love it.
The Fermi
with
paradox
Fatty
being...
and Dewey.
Can you imagine? It actually becomes a thing.
It'd be a beautiful show. But the Fermi paradox being that aliens, they must. It makes no sense because the universe has gone on for so long. Even though there are vast distances, they would have colonised the universe. So where are they? So what you're saying, that would sort of solve it. Oh, they are here. They're sort of keeping quiet, kind of thing. Now the issue is what I'm not on board with is this kind of like, oh, well, these Americans, they're keeping everything secret about the UAPs and the alien. Well, why is it only America? Wouldn't they have landed in some kind of place like, Zimbabwe? And Mugabe would have been like...
But they did go to Zimbabwe.
Oh, well, you've mentioned Africa. Alex knows everything in Africa.
Anyone who's watched those UAP documentaries has seen the one where they go down to the school and all the kids saw the aliens. By the way, UAP stands for Unidentified Anomalous Phenomena, Michael, in Winchester.
It's changing by the minute. It's amorphous, isn't it?
Pete in Southend... Wait, no, that's because I got it wrong. Pete in Southend.c says Voyager, it's 24 hours for a signal. Voyager. So there you go.
24.
And then it's the Voyager probes, the ones that carried the gold 12-inch LPs with all the human facts on it. Have you seen the latest, that death and soul is just transferred to the next dimension or level of the simulation?
Well, I mean, I only understood 80% of that. But one thing I would say, gold LP, this thing I'm talking about reverse engineering. You imagine if you're an alien life form with advanced technology, and you're presented with an LP, and that's got all the information you need to know about human existence on it. You're not going to know how to play that, are you?
No.
But also, that technology is so outdated. I mean, what they could have
in the 70s, though, a gold LP.
Yeah. Chef's kiss.
So if someone found that, they would think we're still in the 70s, wouldn't they? They would just imagine us as we were. They wouldn't know about like the whole trans thing.
They wouldn't know about us.
They wouldn't know about us. They wouldn't know about BLM.
No.
Crying out loud. Right, we've got to take a break. Don't go anywhere. Weird Hour's back just after this.
across the UK. On DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
I wish we'd come back a microsecond earlier because it's such a cute thing. These two are taking a little selfie with one another.
Emphatic. We're just playing in the door.
Talking about Josh
It's the first time that they've met, and the bromance is real, baby.
Well, we know our mutual friend Josh Howie just messaged me saying how tennis in that article how tennis can add 10 years to your life. I thought, isn't it quite sweet that compared to what people might imagine, people in our sphere are all messaging one another about.
Yeah, it's not that.
That's what it really is. Yeah.
How cute. Apparently, there we go. David in Newcastle says Weird Out is top draw today. Get Andrew on again next week.
Yeah, I'm slightly offended by
we
that,
love you.
actually. You know, I mean, I think up to this point it's been pretty good.
Yeah.
Andrew's just made it slightly spicier. That's all that's happened.
But, you know, sometimes you have the most amazing dinner at a Michelin star restaurant, and then some guy comes out with the fresh truffle and the grater.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
That was a reference that 99% of the audience might not necessarily relate to.
Oh my God! I'm not women of the people anymore, am I?
Andrew's my truffle.
Andrew's my truffle.
I don't think you're even a woman of the studio. I've not been. Sometimes when you're at Michelin star restaurants, Alex.
Drove past one.
I've never been to one. Have you been to Michelin? Are you going to Michelin star restaurant?
No.
What even is that? £100 a head, I imagine.
I need to balance this out.
Have you been to one?
I don't think I have.
I need to balance that because someone's messaged me and I can't find the message.
Sorry.
I can't find the message where someone was saying, "Oh, I'm sitting there imagining you making your bone broth." But actually, that makes me sound like a hipster. It's on my stock.
What are you talking about?
I don't know. You talk about Michelin star restaurants, where you normally find me in my kitchen boiling carcasses.
Alex makes food from the
I love boiling a carcass.
There was a rumour about a rapper who I shouldn't say because I don't know if I know if it's true, but who boiled her cat.
Really?
No.
Yeah, she's weird.
That's not.
I bet I know who it is. Yeah. No, that's horrible. We don't want that. No boiling of cats.
But I think already dead. But.
Oh, so Pete in Southend on
now
again.
on board.
When I said last time that Weird Al got weirder, this is a whole new level. I wonder how many levels of weird there are.
Don't challenge us.
All
I would say for the producer and director's sake, please do not challenge us to get weirder.
You know our super fan.
Which one?
Claire.
No, I wanted Andrew to think there was more than one.
It's basically just Claire and Buckley in North Wales, who was such a super fan. She said she forgot about the Weird Al t-shirt. As #1 Weird Al fan, I need one of those. I still maintain the first Weird Al was the best ever. Because it's just... Oh, here we go. I now have the image of you cooking stock from bones at home spouting off, says Bob.
Good old Bob.
Good old Bob. I love
bone broth Bob.
I was going to say I love boning. Be careful what I say here. Stop boiling some bones. This bone brothing is great.
I don't think I've ever had bone broth. I ate in quite a nice restaurant once marrow from a bone.
Oh, I love a bit of marrow. Marrow's good.
Apparently it's very good for something.
I really like the ghoulish bits in an animal.
You're like a Macbeth sort of
character, like a witch.
Yeah, I started when I came in and you were brushing your teeth with the bacon and sort of snorting and coughing and being ill everywhere. I thought Dickens, and now I'm thinking with this kind of bubble, wobble, trouble, broth and all this, it's a kind of witch from Macbeth.
Honestly, so I've been trying to set up with my parents a bone cooperative.
Oh my God, I'm a vegetarian, so I don't. All of this offends me,
this is terrible.
And I will be taking legal action against both of you.
You're missing all the ossification fun.
Horrible.
But but basically, you know, I was in a restaurant the other day, so I got distracted then because I saw planes on television. I was like that. But no, I love planes. I can't help it.
All right.
I was went to this really smart pub with my parents in the Cotswolds.
Michelin star.
I'm so over Michelin star. That's for fake fancy people.
Yeah.
No, I like sort of niche.
Yeah.
Proper grub places. Anyway, went to this. It's a brand new open pub. It's been all the sort of talk of the Cotswolds. Have you been to the Wild Duck? Have you been to the Wild Duck? So I was like, we're going down the Wild Duck. We went there and had this girt tomahawk steak. Now I don't normally eat beef, but it was for Mother's Day, and my mum and dad wanted the girt tomahawk steak. So I was like, sorry, cows.
Was it called girt tomahawk steak?
But it's a tomahawk steak. I've added the girt.
What does girt mean?
It's West Coast. You used to live in Bristol. How do you not know girt?
He avoided the locals.
You've got to get your mouth into a special shape to say girt.
I was in Bristol many years. I didn't hear girt. I picked up a lot of sort of Bengali and Urdu.
No.
That was just where I was in Bristol.
We'll see.
Yeah. You must be from a different part of the West that I was in.
Yeah. I'm where the West is still the West. blessed.
Yeah.
In more ways than one.
Yes.
But so we went down to this restaurant. We had this Gert tomahawk steak, massive bone through the middle. And so we finished the steak, and I'm like, I want to take my bone home, please. I'm like, okay. We'll wrap that up in foil for you. I'm like, that is a good big roasted bone that's going in my stock pot. And I was like, while you're at it, can I have all of your bones? And it's against health and safety for us to give you those bones. And I'm like, I'm going to boil them. Like, seriously, give me your bones.
You could sign a disclaimer, though.
And so I've been trying to say to my parents, set up a bone cooperative, because I make loads of stock at home from bones. And I'm like, listen, Mum, Dad, if you're cooking chicken thighs, save your bones, freeze them. Next time you come visit, bring me your frozen bones. I'll put them in my pot, and in return, I'll give you a litre of stock.
Because at some point soon, you're going to commit another hate crime. The police turn up to your house, and instead of Brexity books, which are obviously all there, they're going to find bones as well.
It's going to look like Jeffrey Dahmer's residence, isn't it? It's like, what is going on here? Oh, the weird and the wonderful at Alex's house. My house is weird and wonderful, has to be said.
Oh, it sounds amazing. Yeah. It does sound amazing, your house.
It's fun.
I'm imagining it's at the bottom of the faraway tree.
I bought the coolest thing the other day in the antique centre. I've got the best antique. Yes, Chris, again. I read that my local antique centre is amazing. It just, normally antique centres in London, you see like a little old pot and flowers on it. It's like, that's £5,000. Like, some rubbish, I don't want it. You go down my antique centre, and they've got like World War II helmets and unexploded missiles and just like barometers. I like equipment.
You live in such a different... I mean, this Bones, Michelin star, antique centres. These are things that I've never... And I'm not saying that...
What county do you live in?
Hertfordshire.
Oh, okay.
But it was Bristol.
Right.
The Bengali part.
Yeah. Obviously.
Of Bristol.
I bought this like ancient projector, and it's like this sort of huge black box
but one of
with
the
this massive
overhead
lens.
things that you had at school.
No, that's modern compared to that thing that I got. This unit, massive Gert thing, massive lens like that, a little well where you can put your oil, light the flame to put your reel in, like if you're sort of playing that sort of a sort of black and white silent movie, like one of those.
And did you have anything to play on?
And do you know how much no, who cares? Do you know how much I paid for that?
£17.40.
Unfortunately, it's 40 quid. Oh. But I still think that's a steal.
Yeah, I would have no idea how to price that. I'm more of a spaceships guy.
Yeah, I understood the stuff about the spaceships.
Someone is sending me something really random the other day, because they listened to my show, and I went to this event in Rochester, and she came and said, I've got something to you, I'm going to send it to the post. Original panels from the Millennium Dome.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
From the outside?
Yeah. So they're like wending their way to me. I don't know where I'm going to display them, but like...
What do you think of when you think of that? I think of Tony Blair and the Queen.
What's this?
That's Old Lang Syne.
Oh, right.
Not the Illuminati.
There was a big body. There was a human body exhibit
yes,
that you could walk through.
Yeah, I never did any of that. I've been there now, where it's just, I think
I'm still in it, that body. Just having a wild dream.
The Excel Centre has now just become the sort of place, that you just put on a VR mask and off you go. I went to Pompeii the other day.
Wow.
That was quite cool, actually. You sort of walk around, you put on your mask like this. And the thing is, like, you put on your mask, and there's like, everyone's got like a funny little avatar with hands and stuff, so you don't bump into each other. And so if you take off the mask, everyone's doing the same thing. They're all going like... trying to like look at their hands like woo,
but what about
touching each other.
When the volcano erupts?
Yeah, so you walk around this like Roman villa like that, like it's all normal. All of a sudden it's like,
oh my
god! Do people panic? Does there have to be like a calm room for people born after 2000?
I always find when people are like, "Wait, next level technology, VR." It kind of looks like Street Fighter from 1995. It's like a bit rubbish still. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they made Avatar, and I'm like, can't the VR be a little bit more?
It hasn't taken off VR. It's a bit like 3D. It's one of those things where everyone was convinced it would happen. It still might. But it's a bit sort of...
There was a Christmas about 4 or 5 years ago. I bought my daughter's now 16, but when she was 4 years younger, I bought her one of these...
VR
headsets, Optimus something or other. Yeah. And they were quite cool, but it was a fad for a minute because, everyone smashed their TV and grandma tripped down the stairs and all that sort of stuff. So people just like went, we're not ready for this.
Yeah, I do think a lot of things, like I find like, by and large... AI is a bit rubbish so far.
Well, I did watch there's an AI YouTube channel that I started watching, and it's a woman who's young and is like unbelievably beautiful, obviously, because she's AI and it's ridiculous. And she is going around places like Pompeii and Rome and stuff like that.
Oh, I've seen that.
It's actually really good.
Yeah, that is quite cool.
And she's being a bit
she goes and gets like street food and stuff.
Yeah,
doesn't she?
and she's going. It's annoying
Roman
because
bone broth.
she's acting very millennial, or is it what's even younger than millennial? I don't even whatever that is.
Zennial.
She's doing that.
Aren't they the Alf?
She's like, it's giving vibes, and she's like saying, oh my god, she's doing all that and being all American or whatever. But it's like that's really cool. Like she's like, it looks like she's.
Oh, can we just give a shout out when it comes to me going AI is a bit rubbish, other than the Crew Kern Gazette?
What's that?
Do you not see the Crew Kern?
No, I don't know what that is. Have you just made a word up?
Yeah.
Right, I'm going to show it to you during the break. Yeah, I'm going to show it to you during the break, which is happening now. Don't go anywhere.
Welcome to Down the Local, the show that goes from pub to pub across the country, speaking to the punters about the subjects driving us all nuts at the moment.
Rachel Reeves, Rachel Thieves, Rachel McCounts.
I don't really know Meghan Markle. I know Meghan Markle's from Sinks, and that's about it.
I don't know about anyone else, and I don't know where this is going. I have 0% beard, and I feel
Raising the flag, I think, is symptomatic of its desperation.
Is public transport good value for money?
No, it isn't.
You really don't like speaking to people.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Well, it's funny, isn't it? Every time, like, Tech Up does this now in all my shows, he just plays a bit of random music. And whenever music plays, we all just stop and sort of wistfully listen.
Yeah,
like,
it's nice.
Why have we got...
I forget what's that tune called?
Don't know.
Because it's always used, isn't it? For, like, you know...
Vision on the gallery or something.
Okay.
Tech Up's the sort of person who wants to take down a pub quiz. He knows...
Yeah, what's it... What? Why do I know him as Tech Up? I can't remember his name. What's his name?
Tech Up.
It's not his actual name.
Yeah, it's T-E-K-K-O-P.
Ah, okay.
Like, there are various Tech Ops,
yeah,
but there's only one Tech Op.
Gotcha.
Who do you think's listening to this? Who's the average person? Can you define them? Who's the person listening?
It's Claire in Buckley in North Wales and Pete in Southend-on-Sea.
And Alex's mum.
Alex's mum. Usually my neighbours like listening because I often talk about the tales of my neighbours. Chris met my neighbours the other day. He loved them. Yeah. He loved them.
Chris Evans.
He met Kenyon Ken.
Chris Evans through there, yeah.
Kenyon Ken, who's like...
Chris Evans.
He met Kenyon Ken, who's neither...
No, he is Kenyon.
He is Kenyon.
And he's called Ken. No,
You've
it's
got
Afro Shell.
Afro Shell, who's got no afro and she's white.
Yes. Yeah.
Brilliant.
I love that. Why afro then?
She used to have her hair in dreadlocks.
Right. It's like Carl Pilkington. I always like that with Gervais. He'd always have these people like called like Jimmy the Hat, and they'd be like, why? Because he always wore a hat. And he was like, no, he never wore a hat.
Yeah, no, but that's what old nicknames used to be, isn't it?
Well, because he never wore a hat.
You would call like your big fat friend like Lanky or something.
I used to have I've had weird nicknames over the years. I mean, like my surname's Cox, so it's been the usual sort of stuff. But I was called for many years in the first pub I drank in. I was called Davies, and Davies was the boy in the film Scum from 1979 that got abused, and they just what that was it. They just stuck one guy. I'm okay.
I think we should talk
Thank
this
you, Andrew.
through.
Yeah, we'll talk after. But I think I'm doing okay. But they just one person called me it.
Yeah,
and then
stuck.
and I had like and another pub. These were always pubs. I don't drink so much anymore. It's a shame. But one pub, someone just called me Steve. My name's not Steve. It's a bit like Trigger.
Yeah,
but genuinely, come and go, all right, Steve.
I'll have to come. The thing is, I'm a good nickname generator. I can't help it. I always give people nicknames.
You give them some outrageous
but they have to come like organically. I can't.
Imagine what a bully Alex was at school.
Oh no, quite the opposite. I was the.
I'm sorry, headmaster. I just come up with nicknames. I'm sorry for what I've been saying to everyone.
No, I was the bullied.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, really? Let's talk about that. What happened?
I was just, I almost had the sort of, platinum package of all the stuff. I had glasses, braces, a little bit dumpy.
Everyone had braces.
If you gave me hearing aid, I'd have maxed out on all the options.
Hang on, what do you mean? Brace? Everyone had braces.
Well, everyone had braces.
What's wrong with glasses and dumpy?
Loads of people have glasses.
Yeah, well,
so what were you doing that was annoying the bullies so?
Getting straight A's.
Yeah, that's what it was.
That's what it was.
I can imagine you being good at school. Were you good at school, Andrew?
Pretty solid at school.
I was like the worst at my school, but it was a very high achieving school.
Right.
So I was.
That's such a shame.
Compared to the average person.
Any comprehensive, you'd have been a genius.
Oh my god, can you imagine? And they used to publish every exam. They'd publish who did what. So I'd always look from the bottom up because they'd do it in order of how badly you'd done.
Right.
So I'd look bottom up, and I was always right at the bottom, and I felt terrible. We had some music and sort of.
See, that's the thing. I was always quite lucky. I was always top of my classes, university, top of my departments.
Bullied.
That's why.
I was super middle of the table on almost everything.
Yeah.
Really, maths was not bad at. Drama, weirdly, I was good at drama. I never did any performing arts until I was in my 30s. At school, I hated it, but I did GCSE drama.
What did you act?
I can't remember the play I did. There was the famous story of the last person who got hung in the UK was a guy who was accused of shooting someone on the top of a building.
Jimmy Allen?
Something like that, yeah.
In Durham?
And it was something to do with the words he shouted, and I played the main character in that. Quite exquisitely, actually.
I remember we used to have drama at school when I was at the all-girls school. It was in one of those prefab buildings, and it was quite a sort of sensible school, high school for girls, Gloucester. Quite sort of very regulated. Had back then a headmistress called Mrs. Bainbridge, and you had to stand up when people came into the lesson. Very strict, very strict. Yeah. And but the minute we'd go into that prefab hut for drama, it would go mental. You'd have girls swinging off curtains, jumping out of windows. It's just people. It's like you could literally see the excitement as you walk towards the prefab hut, and as soon as you're going to say,
I went to a school that was a grammar school up until very shortly before I joined it. It was no longer a grammar school, and what you had is comprehensive kids with grammar school teachers. So A, we got a pretty good education, but B, those teachers were not used to coping with the local boys from the local council estate. It was quite the interesting.
Were you an all-boys school?
No, but I did dream of all-girls schools quite often.
You were an all-boys school, weren't you?
Yeah, I got in a lot of trouble all the time. But the big one was when I was 13 years old, and my biology teacher, who was a woman, she said, "Can anyone tell me what do we use estrogen for? What's it for?" And I put my hands there, cooking and cleaning. Which is obviously horrible, but I was 13, and I thought, looking back, I knew I was in trouble, and I knew it was a risk. You take the risk, and I was like the headmaster.
Did you get the laugh?
I think that's quite clever.
Then it was
not from the
worth it.
teacher, but
no, but it was worth it.
Got the laugh. I wouldn't make that joke because it's a bit obvious and a bit, but as a 13, I was, look back and go, couldn't the teacher have just laughed?
Yeah, fair enough. I think that's quite funny.
Yeah, I didn't mean it.
See, I went to an all-boys school for the sixth form. The best thing ever. Boys are so much funnier than girls.
You went to an all-boys school?
Yeah, in the sixth form.
They kind of, right, they
let in some girls.
So it was like you, a couple of mates, and loads of boys?
Yes.
And you were
basically
16 to 18?
Yes.
What a time.
What a time. I also dated the headmaster's son, and we were like the sort of Beckhams of the school, do you know what I mean? Because I was one of the very few girls at the school. He was the headmaster's son.
What's he doing now?
He's a GP.
Wow.
I think.
What are you doing now?
This? Have I done well, ladies and gentlemen?
What's your job, Alex?
Yeah, what do you do?
What would you call this? A radio host, I suppose?
You're more than that.
He's a doctor saving lives. What are you doing now, Alex?
Saving the West, one radio show at a time. I'm a purveyor of truth.
I wonder what he thinks of your views.
I'm also the home of the bone collector, according to Richard in Ayrshire. So there
if I was on this show regularly with you,
which you're going to be, Andrew.
I would be calling. I would be finding him out, and we'd get him. We'd have that surprise guest from Alex's past every week.
GP.
I'd love that.
That would be fun.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that'd be good.
Yeah.
That'd be good. I don't know. He's very left wing. I think he loves James O'Brien.
That's exactly why I want him to come on.
That would be
That's
absolutely
the
delicious.
jeopardy you
Did you
want.
know that Alex was a Nazi back then? Were there signs?
Yeah, what? I just wanted that to soak. I was going to say something, but I wanted that our audience to soak that in. Did you know Alex was a Nazi back then?
What were the signs? Was she a Welsh choir boy? Was she into those kinds of things?
Was I a Welsh choir boy?
Yes. Did she get going?
Yeah, I think I was sort of relatively, like most kids at school, sort of leftist. I don't think I was...
Yeah, cool.
Oh, we all were, weren't we?
Yeah. I wasn't interested in politics particularly at school. I've always found I wasn't political.
No.
I wasn't even political at university. When people start getting political, I was just like, nah.
No.
Pub.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
It's a bit weird to be a kid who's
I had this thing. I didn't like people in clubs at university. I used to call them involvers.
What?
Yeah, people used to get involved and they'd have to wear their involver uniforms, you know, like, and always the acronyms like SRBCC, which would be like stand for some sort of college boat club or something. And I was just like, oh, look at those involvers walking around with their special hoodies. Yeah, that's what I called them. I always disliked involvers.
Who are these people?
You know, when you go to university and people are in a club, the rowing club, the basketball club, the hockey team, the debate society.
Urine out of a shoe.
And they all have their like university hoodies with their acronyms on, and they walk around, you know, showing their involver hood. Yeah. And I'm like, you set an alarm to do something and you're at university, you don't understand what you're supposed to be doing.
Put countdown on.
I literally, when we went to live out in the second year, we got a house the closest possible to the lecture hall. And I used to just sort of wake up, walk down to the lecture hall in my pyjamas, sit there, have a nap, go home.
That genius.
And also, I did literature and philosophy, which is, do you know how many hours of lectures I had a week?
4.
6.
That's incredible.
6 hours in a whole week.
I was saying I did literature, the same thing.
Yeah. Did you ever read the books?
No.